You went up on that, didn't you?
I was gonna say $10.
You know how if you ask like a guy like Pat, like your friends, and you're like 20, like how many girls they've slept with or something, they like times it by three. I think Tim does that for when we ask him how much he's gonna tip.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. We're checking in with the crew for football. We got a ton of offseason news, some moves, some NFLPA player grades, which made the Jets look very good. But gotta say, these. Well, I'll bring in Geoff right now. Geoff, were you happy with how the Chargers rated out by the players?
Considering the Chargers were 30th a year ago, Pat, but to me it was 30th with an asterisk because they'd been in temporary facilities for a long time. Just by getting the new facilities state of the art, they were going to go up across the board. But flattered to see check marks across the board. I don't know that it matters though, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's probably nice to keep your players happy, isn't it?
I guess, but the Dolphins are the teams that are the happiest don't seem to be winning teams.
If the Chargers can move from 30th to 5th over the course of 1 year, it seems like these could shift a lot.
Okay, that is strictly based on going from a temporary facility, which like the gym, the dining, like all these things, the locker room, totally changes once you move into a state-of-the-art brand new facility. It almost excuses, not fully excuses, but when you've been in a temporary facility for years, you're going to have a lot of really, really shitty rankings.
This is true. So let's bring him in. Right now, you can catch Geoff, myself, Cam, Rob, and this man in Toronto, and Gary, I suppose, on June 7th at the Rec Room in Toronto. Tickets will go on sale very soon, so sub to the newsletter so you can get first access. I believe there's only going to be 200 available at first drop, and then it'll be like standing room or something like that. I'm working it out with the venue. Either way, his name is Tim Cust.
Tim Cust.
That's not my name. Now who's forgetting Garion, huh?
I did. Why, I forgot him temporarily for about 1 second.
There you go.
Good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You really nailed it there.
I'll tell you what Geoff didn't nail, his New Orleans Saints rankings.
What do you mean?
Who I assume he would now revise to 32nd.
Yeah. We'll see. I think it's hard to beat the Browns. I feel pretty good about my rankings. I think a lot of things that have transpired and since the rankings just almost confirm how I feel fans feel. 49er fans thought Deebo was worth more and see what's happening, and Ram fans are ecstatic to have their quarterback. I might even switch the Rams and the Lions if I did it again right now.
Well, we got a bunch of this news on the go.
But it wasn't an answer to my question.
Well, he said
what was your question?
He said that the Browns would be last.
I said, yeah, but wouldn't you put the Saints last now?
Well, he just...
You're right, I would, but...
in response to your question, he said the Browns would be last.
Yeah.
No, he just started talking about how right he was about the Rams.
No, I said before I said it would be hard
I asked you about.
I said it would be hard to remove the Browns from last by bias agenda. But the Saints, they're like kicking down the road, more Derek Carr money. Like, what the hell? What the heck? I need to see them know that they need to just pay their taxes.
They need to talk to IRS?
Precisely.
They need
Precisely. Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Listen, Cena turned heel down the street on the weekend.
Yeah, I saw it. The Sky
Big
Dome.
news.
Yeah, I heard. People were talking about it like it was the same as Hogan in 96, but I don't care enough, so maybe I don't register it that way. But even like watching the clips at it, like the crowd wasn't throwing shit into the ring and things like that.
It's a different time. I would say it's not like Hogan. But yeah, I don't know, would it hit harder? But it's just one of those things. A lot of wrestling fans had decided this was something that was just never gonna happen. Cena cared too much about like just being a good guy, and he's still sending positive tweets on Twitter. so he's hard. It's hard for him. Like you can tell, being a heel does not come natural to John Cena at all.
Well, Tim, what do you think are the top
It was
five
the
biggest?
angriest. It was the angriest anyone had met at the Sky Dome since Geoff saw a baby sitting in the second row.
Tim, I need you to power rank right now off the top of your head the 5 biggest heel turns in wrestling history.
I can't.
Would you say it's in the top 5, Geoff? I would not.
I think because it's Cena, like has to be.
But it's all going to be like after WrestleMania, he'll turn back and then make more movies.
Okay, you're probably right. You're probably right. But hey, it's just Toronto wrestling fans are just like proud, Pat, because it's like what they believe is another iconic wrestling moment happening in Toronto.
Did they sell out Skydome for it?
I don't believe so. It's Elimination Chamber. I don't believe so. No.
All right, well, let's get to. Well, I was just looking at the Saints ratings. The Saints actually rated out really well by the players, except for the food. Imagine being in New Orleans and you have a D- in food.
I've become obsessed recently with this person, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Sounds like you're a big fan.
Who's on TikTok. I think he works for the Maple Leafs, and he just basically shows you all the media meals in every arena that he goes to. And these media meals, by and large, are just superb. And I'm very jealous.
When you say superb, so give us some insight, because I've been to a lot of media. The best media food that I've seen was at President's Cup, but that is an international event. They did country by country each day that we were there. Most of the food that I can really recall was like the stuff that we had at the Super Bowl, Tim, which was, I don't know, fine. It's like fried food.
I feel like a lot of places have picked their game up.
Yes.
Right? Like a lot of people, like, yeah, it does seem like the press row food is not just like the junk box or the kids menu anymore. It does seem like across the board, they have picked their game up.
Like I have had, what are you watching there, Geoff, on your end? What video?
Wasn't me.
Tim, what are you watching? Are you watching the TikTok on your phone right now, Tim?
Trying to find out who it is. Stop it.
See, Tim could have said it wasn't him, and then like I was like, "Oh no!" Like people will for sure think that was me.
Yeah, Jeff's got.
David Alter
Jeff's
is
got.
his name.
Jeff's
If
got.
you know who that is?
Who?
David Alter. If you know who that is.
Oh yeah, he's like a
Toronto?
blogger, a Leafs blogger. Used to work.
Yeah,
for
I don't know. I just know
that.
that he does these TikToks about foods, and like it's everything from your standard fare
To like to like really
salads
bad
and fried food.
really bad pulled pork sliders. I've had those.
But
at
then there's
media.
like specialties. There's specialties. There's like Chinese food in some nights, or there is like this really cool salad bar. There's all kinds of various soups, and there's carving stations, and it's not just the standard fare. And it's interesting. The places you think would be the best are not always the best, and the places you wouldn't anticipate are excellent. So it's interesting. And I thought of that when you mentioned New Orleans being so low. You think, oh, it's got such great food. Now, see, this is a weave. The food at New Orleans is so good that you'd have them high, but that's not where they are.
Well, I doubt it really has to do with like the actual quality of the menu and just like the food of, hey, I need this many meals per day to hit this protein and like hit all my macros so I can continue to get stronger. Like I would think it would almost go hand in hand with the nutritionist.
If they were competent, you're right.
Yeah,
That's right.
The Jets rank very lowly, although the Jets nutritionist is quite good. Is that Sal Alosi? Is that guy?
I don't think he's worked for that team for like well over a decade.
Well, they rate out really well in strength coaches too, so maybe it is him. In the shadows, he's doing great.
Apparently, the Jets actually, one of the things the players liked in the past was their like a dietitian the players liked, and then the Chiefs paid them to go over there. So players were like more pissed or something.
Your guy, Big Wood, Tim, the only F grade for an owner.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, it is what it is.
Well, maybe don't speak so highly about him anymore. Is like maybe he's just a meddling head coach who no one likes, or owner who no one likes. That's Dan Snyder territory.
It's 1 year. It's 1 year being that low. I think that's probably partially the residue of what has been a very disappointing season sort of all culminating there. We'll see how things finish up next year. I don't know. Doesn't prevent someone from like Cam Ward claiming he wants to be a Jet.
Cam Ward has now claimed he wants to play for 7 teams, I think.
But he said he wanted to play for me. No one wants to play for me.
He just wants.
I'm not joking. That's all I needed to see. Give them everything. Give Tennessee whatever they want. I don't care.
So what's your compensation package? I'm Tennessee. I'm sitting here with the first pick. What are you offering me for the first pick?
2 firsts and a second.
I need more.
All right. 3 firsts and a second.
I need a player that I can play at the same time, too.
You have 4 high picks. You can pick
Now,
a player in
you know
any
what?
of those picks.
I think I can make a better deal with Vegas.
I don't think you can.
I've already said yes to your 3 firsts and a second, by the way.
Jeff, we can get more. We can get more out of Tim. What are you doing? You're like my wife when we go to pick up something on Kijiji. She doesn't want to negotiate after we've negotiated. Like, that's not how Kijiji works.
Yeah, I'm like your wife.
Yeah, she
100%.
does. She just doesn't want, like, we went to go pick up a dresser one day from like a downtown Toronto spot, so they had to bring it down the freight elevator, and they already brought it down by the time we got there, and we saw them, and I pulled up, and I was like, we got them by the fucking balls here, because I know there's no way that I would want to put that back up and drive it back up, so I was like, let's just offer them a quarter of what we said we would pay them, or we're like, hey, fuck off, and then she was like, no, we
I'm
can't
your
do
wife.
that.
I'm like, you can do it, but I'm walking back to the car. I can't witness this.
Got to be a stern negotiator if you
terrible.
want to win.
Okay, so what active body are the Jets gonna throw in?
No, Garrett Wilson.
That's Devonta Smith.
Can I have Garrett Wilson?
No, but Devonta Smith's on the trading block.
Is Devonta Smith on the trading
him.
block?
Yes, I've been reading reports that they're actively looking to trade him, and if not, they'll cut him.
Who?
No, Devontae
Jets.
Adams.
You mean
Devontae
Devontae
Adams.
Adams?
Devontae
Yeah,
Adams.
Adams, sorry. Yes, Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
I
well,
was talking
like-
Jets,
you don't need to throw him in. I can sign him after you cut him.
Well,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Maybe,
You're gonna cut
but you can
him.
have him in the trade. You have to fight for him if he's a free agent. He's yours if you get him in the trade.
He's gonna get cut, and he is probably
Going to go wherever Aaron goes.
no. He might just go to the Rams. He just wants to go to California. I heard. So the Rams and Chargers both have receiver needs. He's just going out west.
Not going to lie to you. If he goes to the Chargers, it will be a good opportunity for me to give you a terrible wide receiver after you pawned off a terrible wide receiver on me who didn't even know how to run routes.
Okay, I would like Devontae Adams will do better than Mike Williams. Like Devontae Adams at his current state is better than Mike Williams at his best football ever.
He's at the par of what you built him up to be when he became a Jet to make me think he was a top 10
I
receiver.
said he had one specific skill which I thought he could utilize. You make us keep doing this song and dance. You signed a guy who tore his ACL in the middle of last season, and he had no training camp. Like he wasn't out. Then he just ran on the field. He's a fragile guy. He needs his own. What was my joke always? Even when he played well, he literally needed his own trainer because he got hurt so much that he would take the trainer's attentions, and then like someone important would get hurt, and the trainers would be looking at him on the sidelines. Then one play later, I'd see Mike Williams get hurt, and my thought was, oh no, not Mike Williams hurt. It was, there's this dude who's like dying on our sidelines who needs our best trainers, and now they got to go assist this fucking idiot who needs permanent help.
They should have got
And the one time, and Rodgers
did-
yelled at him.
Did
Whatever. It
they,
never
did they get
worked.
the Rodgers doctor with the long needle to stab him in the heart or something? That guy is the
that
MVP
guy's
of
not
Chargers
with the team
history.
anymore.
He's not there.
We have a dark history with team doctors. There have been many lawsuits in my lifetime. Many Chargers doctors have been sued after the fact. Chris Dealman almost died on an airplane. Thanks, Dr. Chow. I'll see Dr. Chow in Canton. He gave me the location of LT's private reception after Canton last time I was there. So we'll see again, Dr. Chow. And and the guy who stabbed Tyrod. Dr. Chow's turned tout, just to show you what sort of guy Dr. Chow is.
He turned tout on injury picks, like here's who's going to get injured, or he's giving out props like he's us.
No, like tout on injuries, like the overall health of their roster versus this roster and his medical expertise. Yeah, he's got like yeah, he's part of something.
I mean, there is a market for that in the fantasy football and gambling landscape. Tim, you're a doctor. You could grift like that.
I'm not that type of doctor.
People don't need to know that. There was a guy I worked with for years that called him doctor, and I found out he had a doctorate in history. Yeah, he claimed like he would give medical advice on the show.
I wish Tim never. Yeah, we could have done this the whole time. Tim is like a doctor.
Doc Cust, coming in to give you the expert knee advice. Tim, tell us about meniscus tears.
I don't know anything about them other than I think they're unpleasant.
They sound unpleasant. So do you think it's a problem, Tim, that Miami rates out too well? The players are too comfortable? Is that an issue for this team?
I mean,
sure.
I guess. I mean, it's not like the good success that they're having is resulting in, playoff wins or, toughness.
No disrespect.
One playoff game they have, they don't show up in a game that's cold. Oh, my.
Like, no disrespect to the Dolphins and their fans, and it's unfortunate, but it appears they are the epitome of country club culture. Like, it's South Beach. Players like to go there for the weather, the taxes. The one time there was a coach in our life that grinded gears was Brian Flores. And they got rid of him quickly. It was like, no. That doesn't work here. That's not what we're about. So, as scary as it sounds, it actually seems like something as a culture they have to overcome, which is so fucking weird. Their owner got an A+, like their head coach A+, travel, family care, like A+++. But in some fucking weird way, it's too good, where it's actually a negative.
There are some fun. Well, Tim, you used to be a prof. Did you ever give out an F- to anyone? Because there's a few F- on the board.
No, it doesn't even make any sense.
It's just worse than F. Like it has to stand out so much that not only did you get a failing grade, but you weren't even close to a passing grade.
We call that the Geoff Fienberg Western Ontario transcript.
Say that one more time.
I said we call that the Geoff Fienberg Western Ontario transcript.
Yeah. I might have altered one transcript in my day. I'll just leave it at that.
What?
Like just put a little minus or plus, filled in the minus to a plus?
I just like the official. I didn't alter the official record.
Just what you brought
That
home.
I didn't have access to. But, listen, my dad needed to see something, and I wanted to go back next year. I didn't fail or anything, but my dad has some standards. Like, I couldn't just pass. So we just had to, up it. And this is in the days of, I feel like I've said this, but how do you put this? Like, my dad is old enough to be just, lost in the internet. So I've got, a printout with, what looks like an official seal. And I have a friend now who runs an incredible hyper successful graphic design company. This was one of his earlier works. This would have been an early Picasso. And that's all. And then that's it. That's all I need to see.
So when you go
it's not like I had to do any classes again or was there longer than I needed to be. Graduated on time, but I just didn't want to have to be. I wanted to go back to school, not brought home to have to live at home and do a city school.
Yeah, city school, that'd be no fun. You didn't take the 6.5 year plan like me? That was the move. Too much fun, Geoff. Too much fun.
I guess I did, in the sense that I did I came home, when I just went to a different school, a different program for 2 years after. So I guess I could have stayed. So it just felt like I was breaking things up. But yeah, I did a good five years.
Oh, I'm not even talking about going back to broadcasting school. That was afterwards.
Oh no, but yeah. And my family and everyone is very pro education. So they, if you wanted to do more school, that was always supported by anyone.
So Tim, what do you think the strategy is about lying on your report card if you're changing your grades? How good do you make them to make them seem realistic? Now, not you, because you're Mr. A+, but if you're Geoff, do you put in some B-, some C+, maybe an A- somewhere? It's not like Geoff's coming home with straight A's.
Yeah, no, you can't. You got to be.
I think
realistic.
Geoff just needs to hide the academic probation letter and hope no one finds out.
I never even got that. But I'd always drop by. I don't know. It was like, I guess, I don't know what it was called, like guidance. I'd always drop by just like to check to see if I was like flirting or what she knew. She liked me. You know who to. I'm not like, you guys know me well enough to know I don't like shake hands and kiss babies. But I'm smart enough to know there are like a couple people who you got to like. Just always make sure we're on the up and up.
If there is anything people have learned about you from this show, is that you most definitely do not shake hands and kiss babies. You slap hands and yell at babies.
Or abandon babies when somebody might be Dave Portnoy.
Custy Awards are still open for voting, by the way. You can vote down in the description right now. I think it's going to be the end of March. I think that's when we're going to close voting.
Moment.
And maybe, do you think we should do the Custies before or after the live show? Or is that like something to keep on the table for people? They might find out some Custies winners. Because, Tim, if you win, or Geoff, if you win most insane person of the year, maybe you'll have to wear an insane sash like you're a mayor at the live show.
I'm not going to lose the Tupperware, Tim.
Tupperware Tim. You've worked out all these nicknames?
I don't know.
Now that one workshopped quickly. That got flying colors.
So here are the only
focus group.
These are the only F- grades on the board for teams. Buffalo's travel situation, Tim, is an F-.
Oh.
What exactly do they mean by that? Like the way they travel?
Probably their accommodations, probably their flight plan, like when they get in, when they get out, how good.
They live in Buffalo. When you live in an outpost that, doesn't like, you're not connecting to most major cities probably through the Buffalo airport, I would imagine.
That is not true. You would connect to most. You would. Where else are you going to connect to?
You probably
smaller airports?
You probably connect through Atlanta, like the hubs.
35% of the Bills players feel they have a comfortable amount of personal space on team flights, ranking them 32nd of 32nd. Players believe their team travel schedule is inefficient, to Pat's point, ranking them 32nd of 32nd. As mentioned in the overview, players feel that travel continues to be the worst part of their experience. Players do not have a comfortable amount of space when traveling, and the travel schedule itself is a sort of significant dissatisfaction.
So they have Costanza
like
running
they
everything
get the
for
planes at like the cheap hours or rates, it seems.
Yeah, they're booking plane through NetJets. They were up late, Tim, watching Golf Channel, and they saw Gary Player out there pumping NetJets. They're like, sounds like a deal to me. Let's use them.
It's like, I assume like some teams, the game finishes, they get cleaned up, they get on the bus, they go to the airport. The Bills like hang around for 3 hours because they saved a few bucks on like the later flight.
Tim, it sounds like you might be running their travel schedule.
Yeah, really. Very inefficient.
But
I
save
don't know
it.
why they don't have money.
every-
They just have private jets. I don't understand why teams just don't have private jets.
Because
They don't need to own the jets, they can charter the jets.
No, just have private jets of their own. These are not, the owners are not impoverished people. They can afford one or two
They've
big
done the
private
math.
jets.
They've done the math. They're better off literally trading like a sponsorship, like with Delta or American Air for some placements in the stadium or a partnership in some way. It's a barter more than anything. But no, I don't. Not many teams own their plane. The Patriots do. That's very well documented. But that seems hyper rare. They just charter out flights, and in some cases, teams are on the same plane. Like a plane that a team used on a Thursday nighter is being used at, not that they're sharing the bill, but I mean it's like from the same network of chartered planes, it seems.
Another F- was the treatment of family by the Cincinnati Bengals.
See, this is the one I'm interested in. That was where the Chargers did pretty low. Like, I'm assuming, what does that mean? Is that like game day? I'm going to open it up here, but is that like game day, like family room in stadium daycare?
Daycare, seats for the family's players, tickets availability,
yeah.
I'm guessing, is probably a part of that.
Here, let me
That's
read
not
it.
surprising. The Bengals are notoriously spendthrift.
Wow. Okay. The Bengals are one of only 3 teams to not offer daycare during home games, and one of only 10 teams that do not offer a family room during games. Wow. The Bengals are the only team in the NFL that fails to offer one of these 2 benefits. Players rate the post-game family area 4.5 out of 10, ranking them 32 of 32. The players feel their team rarely organizes family events, which ranks them 32 of 32. The Bengals players feel like there is little to no effort put towards support of the families. One player describes the treatment as almost disrespectful. That's sad.
That's brutal.
Like you see on a lot of teams, like internet, like socials, like they seem to have a lot of family events. To have no in-house like game day daycare is crazy to me.
It seems so easy to do too, and it seems to mean a lot to the players.
It certainly does, and you've seen videos of like teams that have it. It's like a big room where they don't have to be that. The kids could just like a playroom where they get snacks, relax, not have to be near football fans. If that makes any sense. Not have to be outside in conditions. It's such low hanging fruit. You don't have an area for families to go. And people, like you got Joe Burrow, but like they're gonna. I mean, what a joke! What a joke of an operation.
Cleveland and Arizona, Tim, both rated F- for their locker room facility. Do you think it's like that gym that I went to when we went to the Super Bowl at the Best Western or wherever we stayed that was just awful?
That was not good. I was almost like imagining, is it like the scenes from Moneyball where the Oakland A's facilities have like pay vending machines in the locker room or something? Like, how bad can an NFL locker room be in 2025?
I
The
don't know.
Bengals also got, just because I have them open, they also got an F for food.
They buy their food at a discount. They go to the discount grocery store.
Last year, I remember the Cardinals got an F, and players would say, like, if you stayed at the facility late and, like, grabbed a dinner,
They would charge you.
they would charge you.
That's awesome.
And not like Tim, just like hanging out there using the Wi-Fi, killing time. I mean, like, actually, either working out or spending time, whatever. They'd get charged for dinner.
That's brutal. So Denver, Washington, Cleveland, and Arizona, Tim, are the teams that rated the worst for the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I mean, Denver's and Washington stadiums are a little bit older. Maybe that's part of the reason.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. These are game day locker rooms or like their facility locker rooms? Because I bet you the game day locker rooms are pretty pimp.
Well,
You would think.
It seems to correlate pretty much with training room as well. Like Arizona was F- for locker room, D- for training room. Cleveland F- for locker room, D+ for training room. So I'm guessing it's the facility itself.
I guarantee you, like the Broncos are in the middle of a renovation or a total overhaul. The way that this like Walton family appears to attack everything. Trying to find this F on the Broncos.
And the F for locker room for the Broncos. Although, Tim, the Jets rated out better than the Patriots, who got an F for weight room and travel. Maybe it's just hard to travel.
Believe.
Maybe it's just hard to travel from the Northeast.
Well, it's harder because you're just a little more isolated from many of the hubs.
Well,
But like
What are you talking about?
the main airport hubs in the United States where flights connect through,
Chicago, Dallas, what?
and Atlanta.
you don't think flights are going
So, like,
from
these-
Boston direct anywhere?
But why do these teams need the hubs?
I just assume there aren't. If you're taking commercial flights, there probably aren't a lot of.
Commercial
I-
is a stretch.
I don't think they're taking commercial flights.
You just said Delta, American Airlines.
Yeah, but these are like chartered. They're operated by Delta or American Airlines, but they are. How do you put this? They're like purposed airplanes for like college football teams, NFL teams.
Okay.
They're not like your standard 3 to a row sort of shit.
I was surprised to see Kansas City get such low grades for ownership. C-. Just across the board, Kansas City didn't do all that well.
That probably gives other owners like the mindset, like maybe I do need to be cheap or cut back on some of these lifestyle things.
Well, they definitely are in like the second oldest stadium in the league, and so there's only so many bells and whistles you can build into stuff.
I suppose, but even to, I guess they do it where it matters most. Like they have a B in travel, a B in strength coaches, A+ in head coach, A- in nutritionist. They just did really badly in locker room, training staff, and weight room, and owner C-. Just didn't rate.
Honestly,
well.
if it were up to me, I really would only care about like the food, the travel, and the locker room. Everything else, whatever.
I mean, the owner rating, I'd want to be really high unless we were perpetual winners like Clark Hunt is. But owner Clark Hunt's average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities is 6.5 out of 10 from Chiefs players, ranking him 26 of 32 in the league. The players feel that Hunt moderately contributes to positive team culture.
The worst team, Buffalo's the worst team for travel. Then it's New England, and then it's Philadelphia of all teams. So again, all Northeast teams. Maybe there is some sort of correlation there. And then you have Indianapolis as well, who had a D+ in travel. Cleveland with a D. Maybe just people don't like it to fly out of cities where snow might impact how they actually travel. Maybe that's the whole root of this, Tim.
Maybe
Could be. 'Cause
players
I would have thought
are-
Seattle would
are-
be very high on that list, and they're not.
Well, maybe players are like golf fans blaming courses for no wind and low scoring. They are like blaming their organizations for snow-related weather that they can't leave on time or arrive on time. That's what I've gathered, I think, Pat, from how you put it there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting at, but maybe that's not the case because Pittsburgh is a B+, Kansas City is a B. So it's not like, Detroit is a B+. I assume they would get.
What are like the Giants to the Jets?
The Giants, where are the Giants? The Giants travel is a B. The Jets travel is a C+. So, all right. Well, we spent enough time talking about these grades. Do you think they mean anything, Tim? Or are they just fun to talk about?
They don't mean anything. Who cares? No one is signing or not signing with a team if based on these grades, really. I don't think so. I think they're just something for us to chat about in March because the draft doesn't take place till like Easter.
Well, we could talk about the combine, but I think that there are a few things, Geoff, I hate in sports more than the NFL combine. I don't like the coverage of it. I think people take it way too seriously, and people need to calm down.
I mean, it feels like it used to have like a level of relevance, but in today's like culture, it just seems kind of pointless. The players all do their pro days, but I guess it's just the teams get to meet, interact with the players, and it just seems like league reporters get to go and gossip. You were away, Pat, but did you see that there was like a low-end incident at the Starbucks between Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz?
All I saw was a Twitter headline, and I thought it was a real headline until that I saw that it actually was. Do you have any insight to what happened? You got channels?
No, I don't really have channels other than it seems like Schultz, it was about the Stafford Brady story that Schultz reported that they had a meeting at the fancy ski resort. Rappaport poo-pooed the story, saying it wasn't really like a scheduled thing. It was more of like two high net worth people running into a place where they both have memberships. And then Schultz confronted him in the Starbucks about it. And Ian's really small and Schultz is pretty big. That's all. And then it got some layers because, Schultz and Starbucks, but
Was it similar to the media bus on the way to Royal Montreal?
I'm pretty sure the media bus to Royal Montreal got more heated than that. And I would just like people to know who have no idea what I'm talking about. It did not involve me. That did not involve me.
You were too busy making a perfect drive.
No, I was too busy being like, oh my God, get me out of here. I can't believe. And I'm sitting beside him. Get me out of here. When will this end? Please stop. Please stop. Like Pat, negotiating with the people who just lugged the thing downstairs. I'm like, I don't want to be here for this. That's what I felt like.
Well, there's no negotiation with the people who brought it downstairs. It's a take it or leave it offer. But
I would have told you to leave it.
No, you wouldn't.
I would have.
I
would have.
Yeah, well, you also wouldn't have brought it down in the first place because you're too lazy. You would have made me do it. But I mean, that's a position that you put yourself in. It'd be a take it or leave it. You wouldn't want to bring it back up. I know you.
No, it's the principle of the matter. I'm
No,
not
it's
letting
not.
you do
You-
that. Once
you-
you've agreed to a price with another person, that's it. It's unethical to change your mind.
Oh no, not unethical. People don't change their mind at all, ever. That never happens.
Not once you've made an agreement. If your word's either your bond or it's not. And if it's not, I'm not interested in doing business. Good day.
Tim would like on his morality clause here would rather like let's say it'd be really heavy, hard to bring back up. He'd rather leave it on the street for free,
Yes.
then bring it back up. At which point you'd circle the block and just put it in your car.
I would give it away to somebody before I allowed someone to do that. That is such bad form.
Oh, I'm with you on the other side. If I was the person selling it, I also wouldn't give it away for if there was a price agreed upon. But most people aren't like that. You can rook people, Tim. That's how it works.
Some people, unfortunately, you relish taking advantage of those people. I do not.
It's not taking advantage of the people. It's taking advantage of the situation that they have put them in. Now it's a different circumstance.
Yeah, but now you're turning it into like sport.
Yeah. I learned too well from my grandfather who did this stuff, buying and selling stuff out of the newspaper every week, just ripping people off, and then putting it back in, and then reselling it for like triple the price.
Well, I just do unto others as you would have done unto you.
What is that? Your fucking Bible shit? Get that out of here.
No, but it's just the golden rule: do to other people what you'd like to have done to you. If you live that way, you're going to live a happy life, and other people will.
I wasn't able to do it because I didn't want to fight with my wife the entire way back because she felt too bad about it. But you can't send her to negotiate anything.
I agree with that.
Like, it wasn't worth like the $100 or whatever it was to get into a fight with my wife for that night, the next day about, oh, I can't believe you did that. It's like, yeah, I'm just trying to save us money over here.
Oh, I can definitely believe you did it.
But I didn't do it was the thing.
I know. I can believe if you wanted to.
Oh, most definitely. If it was just me, that's what I would have done. And I would have got it for like $20. Anyway.
Awful.
It's not awful. Sorry, I'm good at
Like
negotiating.
that guy from Planes, Trains, and Automobile
Sure.
who just shakes down Steve Martin for extra cash for his cab, then the cab drives away. That guy is a villain.
I'm learning about this through international affairs, Tim. That's where I get all of my tips from of how to negotiate. You shake them down. That's what you do.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what the world teaches me. This is what I do. Deebo gets traded to Washington for a 5th-round pick. Apparently, Geoff, there were rumors that he was real overweight, and they didn't like that in San Francisco.
I mean, this had been rumored for quite a while. It just seems like it's right for both sides. Like a 5th-round pick for Deebo. But his yards per route, his yards after catch, everything looked harder last year. Every yard he's gotten in his whole career has been a physical yard. All that being said, is Washington's got the cap room. It's only a 1-year commitment. And if they plan on playing in big games, I think he's a great player to have for a team who thinks they'll play in big games.
Except he has Bosa syndrome. He doesn't play. He just doesn't play.
Yeah, that's tough. I think the Chargers will be moving on from Joey. But
I mean, the point is he doesn't play. Deebo, you can't expect him to be there in those big games because he almost never is because he doesn't play.
What percentage of games do you think that he plays or doesn't play?
Like 70%?
Last year was tough. He had pneumonia. He battled a lot of shit last year.
Yes, but last year was not the only year he missed games.
I mean, he
missed time.
He played 15 games last year and had pneumonia mid-season.
Okay. Then there's a reason they got him for an extremely cheap price.
Yeah, because a team would rather today, with how deep it seems like the college wide receiver position is, I'm a GM. I'll be cocky. I'll try to draft a guy in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. Pay him nothing, like nothing.
You know what? I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm on Pat's theory of the case that Washington is not going to be very good next year. And I think this is like another example of this is what teams do that just they have cap room, they think they're really close, and they just invest that cap room very poorly. QED.
Do you think
It's
that
a weak free agent class. Like I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just sort of putting some context to it. It'll be hard to spend all the money, maybe. The class is so weak. Speaking for a team that has a lot of cap room. There's not a lot of players out there you want to be throwing a lot of money to. But I could see it from both sides. If he ends up like it's week 5 and we're like, holy shit, like he really is cooked. I'm not surprised. I'm excited to see him make big plays with Cliff, calling them. If
But
that
these don't work out. Like
I'm not surprised.
It didn't work out when Julio Jones went elsewhere, and it didn't work out when DeAndre Hopkins went elsewhere. And like it doesn't work out when these guys who are like 30 plus
Can I give
go
you
to another
one?
team. When does it ever work?
I think the Chargers got a 4th for Keenan last year, which
And
makes
he's
me really
spent.
like. No, and you're going to tell me he brought down your star quarterback.
If any, my star quarterback, just because you don't like him doesn't make him my star. But anyway,
Hold on.
Hold
on a second.
The track record of 30 plus wide receivers who used to be great and aren't anymore is just long, and he fits that mold.
I wouldn't say
And
that
he had a lot more
DeAndre
physicality than the others.
that's more or less the problem. It's his style of play doesn't seem like it would age very well. Although Hopkins was awesome his first year in Arizona, Tim.
I was thinking more like when Arizona traded him.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know how old he was when he went to Arizona that first year. I think he was
You
still
see
in his
players like
20s.
Bolden who like just seem to live forever being really physical.
Bolden is an exception. Jerry Rice was an exception. Like there are some guys who are exceptions, granted, but by and large, these star receivers and Randy Moss was an exception. He was good even when he went to Minnesota for the very last year. Like, but most
So
of
what
the
do you
time,
think they
these don't
should have
work out.
waited for him to get cut? Like the 5th was too much?
I just don't think I wouldn't have gone after Deebo Samuel. I just don't think that he
The
solves
market
your
was
problems.
small. By all reports, it was just apparently them and the Texans. So it wasn't like there was a lot going on there.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the move. I don't think he makes them materially better.
If he's right, or they can use him in the proper ways, if they can start using him like San Francisco did out of the backfield, use him as like a partial running back, just to throw defenses off, I think he actually fits really well with Jaden Daniels, even if he only plays the Noah Brown role from last year. And all Noah Brown was doing was using his gigantic body to stand there just beyond the first down marker and then drop the ball every time it was thrown to him. So
if you're going to bank on him, I'd treat him like the Chiefs treat Kelsey. Like I'm basically not going to use you much until late in the year when I need you.
I don't mind that if they're actually winning games without needing him.
I don't know how much he can contribute.
Well, it's not like they're asking him to be their number 1 wide receiver either.
But they don't have anyone signed, I believe, other than McLaurin and him. Like their whole receiving core, I believe, is free agents. I saw.
Well, that makes
Other
sense.
than McLaurin.
Other than McLaurin, none of them are all that good.
Well, yeah, well, that's exactly right. So you're not going to bring back Noah Brown or Jamison Crowder or Zacchaeus. Like, big deal. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Just go draft other receivers who are young and pick up, other. I don't know. I just don't feel like Samuel.
Another note here is the GM involved, Adam Peters, right, was part of the 49ers, like drafted, signed, gave him that extension a few years ago. Seems to think he knows what will make him tick and clearly feels comfortable making the move.
You need to get the one good year out of him, and it needs to be this year. You're pushing all your chips onto the table, and hopefully it works out. Because how long is it? Like, let's say he sucks this year. It's not like you're stuck with Deebo, are you?
No,
No,
it's a 1 year deal.
Yeah, he's done.
So,
but wouldn't it be fun if like he is healthy and these play calls that Cliff could call him up for him? Because he's not, to Pat's point, like he's not a great receiver. He's not going to beat you open on a slant or quick off the line, like doing anything. He doesn't get the separation required. So that will only, like, there's no way that's going to get better. So we'll see. Oh, yeah. Fuck. You get hurt and then it's over.
yeah, that's probably what ends up happening. Good news for you, though, Tim. Did you see what the Cowboys did today?
No, I did not actually.
They extended a second-round tender to restricted free agent Kevontae Turpin.
Wow.
That's your guy.
It's the fastest player in the league by a significant amount.
Would you
He's
want
great.
the Jets to give up a second, sign the offer sheet?
They don't have
They're
any
not in the
seconds. They've lost their next 10 years of seconds after Tim traded them to me at the beginning of the show.
If another team traded their second or put an offer sheet in for their second, would you think that was like worth it?
No.
If you're a team that's really close to winning,
No.
like really close to
You
winning,
can draft a
I
better
know the
You can
answer.
draft a
I just
better.
want him to say it.
having a game changer who can flip the field like that is somebody you probably can't draft. So, like, you can't draft that speed and that ability to read the field with the ball. And so, like, if you were someone like Baltimore or something who were knocking on the door, and you thought, oh, this would make all the difference, okay, fine. But no, the Jets would be lucky to win 4 games next year. They don't need him.
You would have to be mental to give up a second-round pick for Devontae Turpin.
Okay, well, that's fine. No one's asking you to do it. You asked me if I would do it. I said, yeah, if I was close to competing, sure. You can't find that type of speed and that type of like open field cutting that he makes. You just can't find it elsewhere.
I don't.
You know what I would try to do with that second round pick? Try to draft like a player at one of those positions that costs a goddamn fortune and pay him nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
make
really
him make
can't.
an impact of like
You
a
really
top
can't.
30 guy in the league at that position. That's what you do with the second round pick. You don't trade it for a
Return man.
gimmick is an insult because he's way better than
the
that.
fastest player in football.
I mean, you could just pick
So
up Mostert
what?
for free.
Eh.
Well, he's
I get it,
He's
like
one of
the
the 5
speed
fastest
division-
guys.
It's a rare combo, but who cares? Like I don't know.
I mean, if
Well,
you-
clearly I do and you don't.
You see, if
That's
you-
fine.
No, no,
It-
shit. Now I'm like Tim likes him too much, so now I've come in hard the other side. I like Turpin. I don't think he's worth a second, but I don't really have anything bad to say about him. I don't want to do that.
If teams really wanted him, he was there for everyone when he was playing in the XFL 2 years ago.
People didn't realize that he has the potential to be the best returner in football.
He'd be a value add. I will give you that, but it's not worth the second-round pick by any stretch. Would he be worth more than Deebo in a trade? I guess the Cowboys have it
Yes.
somewhat twisted, considering they just traded a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo for no reason.
Yeah,
The
there you go.
Cowboys are going to overpay Turpin. That's what's about to happen.
Turpin. His name is Turpin, not
Turpin.
Turpin.
I would pay Turpin to stay there. The guy is a game changer.
Like, what would you pay him? What would be the
I
contract?
don't know what the right type of contract is for an okay number 2.
No,
who
no,
can-
he's not a receiver. He's a gimmick player.
Well, he
If
does. Well, again, if
if
you watched last year, you saw they used him on offense.
Yeah, you remember how good Dallas's offense was last year?
It wasn't because it wasn't Turpin's fault.
Well, it kind of is when he's one of your 2 best receivers.
Well, no, that's not true. If you have Lamb on one side and you have Turpin running past everybody, yeah, all right. Whatever, fine. You don't like him, I do. I think he's a game changer.
You think he's a viable number 2 receiver on a good NFL
I said
offense?
an okay number 2. He's okay.
No.
If the Jets had
Considering
Turpin
you need,
as their
like-
number 2, like they just had Devontae Adams as their number 2, and their receiving corps sucked, and you think that
And
if
honestly-
Turpin was out there, they'd be pretty good.
To win a
2,000 yards
championship
receiver.
now, like you need to be almost like 4 deep. So there's no way he's the 2.
All right, cut him then, I guess.
Well, no, you have to trade a 2nd-round pick for him. He'd be a fine like 4 or 5, which he kind of still was with the Cowboys. Like he's good on the Cowboys, but he's not someone who's pushing you over the edge if you're Dallas right now.
No, Dallas has a lot of problems. They're not a very good team.
What do you make of the Stafford year-to-year contract, Geoff?
I make of it exactly what I said on the ranking show. This was clearly 2 people who wanted to be together, who were kind of just negotiating in public, but really wanted no part of being elsewhere. There's no way Stafford, for his desire to compete, wanted to leave that team and wanted to leave the confines of the Sean McVay bubble. And there's no way his wife wanted to fucking leave Los Angeles and his 3 or 4 daughters. And the Rams, for all their posturing and Aaron Rodgers going to minus 120 at DK to be a Ram, that was a reality they didn't want to live with. So What should have happened, what was always going to happen, happened.
Were you surprised that he stayed, Tim? Are you shocked like the Giants didn't trade for him?
I'm not shocked that he didn't get traded. I thought there was probably a 30 to 40% chance that he might be moved elsewhere or go elsewhere. But it always made a lot of sense given how close the Rams have been the last 2 years. They won the Super Bowl in 2021, and then in 2022, 2023, 2024. 2022 was sort of a disaster year, but 3 and 4 were both really good years for that team. Like they're right there with the Eagles and with the Lions in terms of a team that could win the Super Bowl next year. So, like, to stay with the Rams, if they can stay healthy, that's a team that has performed and has a good coaching. But when Cup left, that made me think, well, if Cup is asking out, maybe there's been conversations that he knows
Cup
Stafford
isn't
is
asking.
also.
They got ahead of that.
Well, but like when Cup had formally asked to get out, then I thought, well, maybe he and Stafford had been chatting. He sort of knew that Stafford was on his way out the door himself, which is why I thought that. But
you know what Cup's trade market's going to be?
Nothing.
Better not be any better than Deebo's. It's not
Exactly.
worse.
Cup was literally is like, I'm going to break up with them publicly because I know they're going to cut me or trade me. So I'm just going to put this out there. Thank the fans. Don't misconstrue that, but I agree with everything else. Everything else Tim said, and I think the Rams are going to be hyper aggressive with like Devontae Adams right in there.
It would make sense.
Someone like that. They'll be aggressive with the YR complement this offseason, I believe.
The Raiders, Geoff, are trying to trade Tim's guy, Michael Mayer, whatever his name is. Do you think the Jets should trade for him?
Trade what?
Notre Dame, I don't know, right? Didn't he have a bit of a he left because he had a bit of a mental thing, right?
I don't know why. It was unclear why he left the team. Whether he was dealing with mental health, whether there was like a drinking problem, drug problem. It was all private. He was just away for the team for, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. But Tim, let's say it cost you a 6th round pick to get this guy.
No.
Really?
I'm sure I can draft a tight end in the first 6 rounds that I would rather have than Michael Mayer. Sorry.
I'd 100% trade a 6th for him.
I mean, you really
liked
him.
I would. I don't know the medical, but
you really liked him coming out of Notre Dame, Tim.
I did, but he didn't perform.
Well, he didn't really
he
have
scored
a chance.
a big first touchdown for us in his rookie year that you called.
Yeah, wasn't that dandy.
Well, he kind of got usurped by Brock Bowers last year. Like, what's he supposed to do?
There's teams that make a 2 tight end system work. It's not like the Raiders were so laden with offensive talent last season that there was no place for Michael Mayer to shine. Sorry, I don't buy that.
Well, it was
if
tough.
If he still had lots of gas in the tank, they could have run a 2 tight end offense. There's all kinds of things they could have done.
Who are the teams that run the 2 tight end offenses right now, though?
Very few teams have
Chiefs.
2 really good tight ends.
The Chiefs seem to run it more than anyone.
So they do. I mean, they run, but it's usually receiving tight end, blocking tight end. Like, that's what the Ravens do. That's why you always just see they play 3 tight ends sometimes. But I think that people have this assumption in their mind that, like, oh, the Gronk, Adrian Hernandez offense is super easy to run. It's not.
No, it's super hard. No, it's not. It's actually easy to run. It's hard to find 2 tight ends good enough to be worth being on the field all the time. That's the hard part.
We've seen teams with good talent at tight end, especially like when you see that one guy leaves, the next guy steps up, and he's used exactly the same way. Bowers just seems like a special talent. That's why he was getting 13 to 15 targets a game at some point. Yeah.
Bowers is a fantastic player. There's no disputing that.
Can I I'm too weak to fulfill what I like. I don't have the discipline, and I'm too weak to live up to my word. So for that, I apologize. But what I can offer in exchange, as you brought up the Raiders, is beside me, I've set the clock to 0, and I have no more than 30 seconds to say what I need to say. Starting now. If you watched any of the Combine interviews with Pete Carroll or the new GM there, who I forget her name, it's like they don't even hide it. It's like there's no secret. All they do, like Brady's in on everything. He's in on everything. That's all they talk about, is how helpful he is, what a resource he is, how much they use him, how he wants to be involved in the draft picks, how he wants to be involved in the free agency. Like, he says he's not involved, and then they're doing a horrible job talking about it. Because you listen to the Combine interviews, and all they do is talk about it. That's all the coach and the GM are doing.
Good.
Can I say the Raiders have been getting some, as much as you can get buzz in the offseason, the Raiders have been getting some. I can't get there with them yet because they don't have a quarterback. But if they could get something resembling a respectable
Darnold?
quarterback, if they had Sam Darnold, I could pick them to finish second in the AFC West without batting an eye. I could get myself there. But until they actually have somebody at quarterback who isn't atrocious, I simply can't get there yet.
I think they'll have Darnold.
Honestly, if they have Darnold, it's because Tom blessed it. And if Tom blessed it, no one knows quarterbacks better than Tom.
Is
To the
that,
point you
is
just
that
made there.
true? Is that true that no one knows
I
quarterbacks
trust
better
put
than
it this way,
Tom?
I trust his
Do you
judgment.
know who doesn't know coaches? Peyton Manning.
That is absolutely true. But Peyton
But
Manning
I don't know
wasn't a
if
coach.
Brady is a quarterback evaluating savant. We'll
I
find
believe
out,
he deserves
guess.
the benefit of the doubt.
I'll give you
until
that.
He proves himself
Well,
that he
well,
doesn't
why-
know the position that he played.
Why do we have to figure that out? Because we just saw like maybe he's just a really good quarterback. Some of these things aren't like a very translatable skill. Everyone thought he'd be a great broadcaster. He wasn't.
But some things are translatable. That
Michael
are
Jordan was a
permanent.
horrible owner. Couldn't evaluate anything.
That's right. Not everybody is great at it, but
Well,
Brady is.
But you say that, but like, look at the players that end up going on to become talent evaluators, GMs, whoever it might be. Very rarely are they great players themselves. They're usually the grinder types, even in other sports. Like, think about all the guys that end up becoming managers in baseball. It's always like the backup catcher.
You're right. For football, it's a lot like Spielman and geez, I just had
John
another
Lynch.
linebacker on my. Dan Morgan just got the job in Carolina last year. It's like a lot of like grunty guys.
Yeah, like Ozzie Newsome, who's just a tight end.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, but let's just say that I think a quarterback who was, to this point, the best quarterback to have ever played, if he's going to sign off on bringing a quarterback, and there were certain traits that he intrinsically knows belong to a good quarterback. And so if he says, this is my guy, then I think you have to respect that until he proves that you shouldn't respect it.
Pat, imagine the Raiders draft a quarterback like a developmental 6th round QB this year. People are just gonna be like no, like Brady. Like Brady found the next Brady.
What would make you more upset? People talking about that and that guy being a flop and you have to listen to it for the whole year, or Brady finding the next basically Brady in the
No, I'm
sixth
not
round
cheering
and
for the
doing it to
Raiders
you?
to be good. I just want them to follow the rules.
Well, it seems like since there are no punishments being doled out, they are following the rules.
You're not wrong. It's like the Dodgers can defer, like they're not breaking the rules. People might think it's bad or not, like there's no rule they're breaking in signing the players or deferring any amount.
Philadelphia is not breaking the rules by having a running back push a quarterback over the goal line. It just, the rule shouldn't exist.
What rule shouldn't exist?
Well, in the same vein that Geoff is saying, what Brady's doing shouldn't be allowed, even though it is allowed. The Eagles' goal line play shouldn't be allowed, but it is allowed. And until it isn't allowed, it's legal.
I don't know. Maybe Jared, you can chime in on this, unless you guys are really up to date on the NHL cap situation. But in advance of the trade deadline, I saw there were certain teams putting guys on some weird medically unable to play list, and it
LTR,
opens up all their cap room somehow.
The Leafs, a lot of like the richer teams can finagle. People have been so mad because the Lightning, I think a couple times over the last couple years, have manipulated it. Vegas, they've just totally manipulate this injury. They pretty much get players to. You have to get a player to commit to the bit though, Pat. Like an overpaid, not very good player has to commit to the bit of being the guy as well to get the cap reliefs.
Well, where would the Maple Leafs find anyone like that?
Jared, so do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Jeff's bang on. It's Vegas. Mark Stone, I think, has done it like 2 of the last 3 years. He gets hurt in January, gets put on LTIR, and then all of a sudden, April 1st, looks like Mark Stone might be available for game 1. They make all these deadline moves and have an extra $12 million worth of players.
Yeah, it doesn't count against the cap, Pat. That's what it is. And then they can bring you back at a certain point and you don't count against the cap. That's what it is. That's the manipulation. So you get these guys, you create the cap space, and then come the playoffs, they come off this LTR and they don't count against the cap.
How is that a rule?
Hockey.
Let's go.
I think, listen, in the spirit, it's a good rule, but like teams manipulate it and it becomes a bit of a shenanigan.
Yeah, how isn't
But
it
it's like
interesting
an
when people?
altruistic rule.
Yeah.
It is an altruistic rule.
Isn't it interesting? Similarly, we've already talked on this show. What happens when you don't bargain in good faith and try to take advantage of the situation? How things are worse off than if you had just played by the rules.
But it seems like all the examples that we've given are teams succeeding now. You got with the tush push ends up winning a Super Bowl. I think Vegas won the Stanley Cup at some point, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, but it doesn't make it right.
Well, what would you rather have? The Jets play by the rules or the Jets finagle the rules so they can win a game?
They're not capable of any of that. They have a real chance to have the first pick next year.
What if they trade for Cam Ward?
I mean, unless Cam Ward is amazing, and maybe he is.
You watch his highlight pack on YouTube. You tell me.
Tim, there's no way.
I am convinced that if they
He's-
brought Cam Ward in with this offense and I'm convinced that Cam Ward could be a game changer.
There's so much more talent on the Jets roster that it'd be impossible to get first overall. Like they fuck up
just
so
like, just
bad.
like it
and
was
they still
impossible
win.
2 years ago for the Patriots to have the worst record in the AFC.
No, I
It was
never
dead
said it
last.
was impossible, but that did-
Impossible. Belichick would never
You're the
allow it.
worst. How can you debate someone? You just
You just said that
Turns
the
out-
infrastructure for the Patriots would not allow them to be the worst team in the conference. It wasn't a
and
possibility.
did they get first overall? Did they get third overall?
They were worst in the conference that year.
And I was wrong about that. But that
Thank
was
you.
more of
That
like
was
a
the point I
coach-
was making.
That was more of a coaching thing. I believe there's just too much raw talent on the Jets to be the worst team in the league.
They were like, what, 2 wins away from being the worst team in the league?
Well,
3
2 wins.
the
away?
worst quarterback
Hold on. 2
situation
wins
ever.
2 wins is a lot of wins in the NFL.
You had the worst QB situation like ever 2 years ago. You still won 6 or 7 games. Like the talent on the Jets roster will no way allow them to get that low unless they
All
cleaned house.
We'll see, I guess.
We'll see. You know
We'll
what?
see.
This is him. Pat, he's just starting low, but don't worry. I'll whisper in his ear. Once the snow melts, I'll start whispering in his ear. That schedule will come out. There'll be a draft. I'll start whispering
You're
the sweet
mean.
nothings of how good the Jets can be. And then he's gonna walk onto a show with you, and all my work will just flow.
Have you noticed how Pat Mayo seems a whole lot better rested recently? It's no secret. I got my old mattress, took it outside, threw it in the trash the moment my Helix mattress showed up. My wife and I took the quiz on helixsleep.com. We went through everything and we decided the firmness. We wanted the temperature, how we actually sleep, and all of a sudden the mattress shows up, we lay down, and I'm not having a lot of the sleep problems that I've been having in the past. I just wake up 50 times a night. Not no more! With my Helix mattress, I was sleeping on my side with my head underneath my pillow, and I was getting chicken wing for when I woke up, and my back and my shoulders were sore because there was a divot inside my old mattress where I've been sleeping on it so long. Now, all of that has gone. It's been such an upgrade with my Helix mattress that I'm getting full sleep, and even my Apple Watch is telling me that I'm getting a far more full sleep this time. I'm not hitting 54% on my sleep cycle anymore. Now I'm up at like 90%, even 100% some nights. So hopefully this can help you out as well. And you can go to helixsleep.com/Pat Mayo for the March Madness sale, which is 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/Pat Mayo for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/Pat Mayo. Look, I know we got a lot of male listeners out there, and that amongst us, hair thinning, very common. It's a very frustrating problem that many men deal with, from stress to nutrition to hormones and lifestyle. So many internal factors affect what you see on the outside. Luckily, Nutrafol is here to help. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For me, it's all preventative. If I can take this now, hopefully I'm not going to have to deal with any thinning down the line. But if you want to build a hair growth routine, it's simple. Purchase online, no prescription required, automated deliveries, and free shipping to keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free naturopathic doctor consults, and a Headspace meditation membership is also included. So, start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering my listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code PATMayo. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code PATMayo. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code PATMayo. Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. 2 hours, a hammer drop, an overtime force, and playoffs on the line golf with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. This Tuesday, Jupiter versus Atlanta. Tiger Woods, Max Homa, Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner taking on Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Billy Horschel, and Lucas Glover. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for TGL, only on ESPN and ESPN+. Keep up. It's golf. All right, let's talk about something I thought I'd never say. I give up coffee, and not just for a day, not just for a detox. I actually stopped drinking coffee because I found something that makes me feel so much better. It's called Peaks Nandaka. And listen, it's not just another coffee alternative. It's the upgrade your body has been waiting for. I used to wake up needing coffee to function, and then I'd pound a whole bunch of coffee, but then after the morning buzz wore off, I was not feeling great. I was drained by the afternoon, and most of the time I'd probably have to take a nap. And don't even get me started on the bloating and the stomach issues. I knew I needed something different and something that actually supported my body instead of depleting it, making me dehydrated all day long, and that's when I found Nandaka. If you're sick of feeling wired, tired, or just running on fumes, you need to try Nandaka today. Right now, Peak is offering 20% off for life and a free starter kit with your purchase. That's a rechargeable frother and glass beaker to make the perfect cup every time. Just go to peaklifecom/mayo. That's PIQUE life.com/mayo. Trust me, your energy, your gut, and your future self will thank you. Do you want to do the Jets stuff now? Because I have a bunch of Jets news, Tim, or did you have a topic that you wanted to do?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we got some Jets news here. So the SNY is reporting that the Jets are likely to pair Tyrod with a second-tier veteran quarterback in free agency. Additionally, The Athletic is reporting that he believes that Zach Wilson, quote, figures to draw interest in the free agent market. Is that a match?
I would bring Darnold back. He wouldn't come back, but I would bring him back.
You'd rather him over Zach?
You'd
Yeah,
pay Darnold not top of market, but QB1 money?
Yeah, I think I would.
Really?
Obviously, what I would do is trade for Cam Ward.
You did 5 years at Darnold.
Yeah, I know, but people can get better.
I love
He
that
did.
story. As someone, Tim, I kind of try to support you. I've long believed in Sam. I would enjoy that a lot. I don't know if it's real. I
don't think it is either. I think it's real in terms of he's made strides and gotten better.
Wait, are you talking about Jeff, are you talking about Cam Ward or Zach Wilson?
I mean, the whole lot of them, but I don't think it's an actual real, I don't think the Jets will even contact Darnold as a free agent.
I don't think so either. I agree with you. I think that unfortunately they won't go back down that road. I'm just saying, I would if it were me. But I mean, if it were me, I would just go after Cam Ward. You said he wants to be a Jet. Okay, well, I want him then. I'm a cheap date, I guess. I'm sold.
Well, the other quarterbacks who look like they might be on the market that the Browns are considering, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Carson Wentz. Although, Jeff, I thought Atlanta had said that they're probably going to keep Kirk Cousins for a year.
They need to trade him. They can't cut him. It'd just be an insane cap hit. That's the problem there.
I think they probably will trade him. Somebody will ask for him. It seems like that situation has deteriorated in Atlanta in the last month or so. So I think he likely will be traded somewhere.
The weird thing about the Cousins stuff is like it's Super Bowl Radio Row. He did an interview where he claimed like he kind of got hurt, what I believe is the week before the Charger game, where he looked horrible. All the while, do you remember during that stretch, Raheem Morris was adamant that he was healthy? So you're not wrong that things have gotten weird there, Tim, because they're like clearly both trying to rewrite or create the narrative of what happened through all of that.
What do you even give up for Cousins? If you were the Jets,
Nothing.
Tim, and you wanted Kirk
Next to
Cousins,
nothing. Next to nothing because you're taking a big contract on.
You might even get something for taking him.
I kind of agree. You would might get like a seventh, and then get something else to go with Cousins. I think that'd be reasonable. I don't want him either.
So you want Darnold, you don't want Cousins. What about Daniel Jones?
Well,
or
Darnold's
Carson
still
Wentz?
young. No, I mean, not Carson Wentz. Certainly not.
Why not? That would be
I'm
hilarious.
I'm not convinced that Daniel Jones is done for, but at the same time, I don't want him. I honestly want to draft a young quarterback again, and whether it happens this year or next year, that's what I want to do. I just want to keep drafting quarterbacks until you finally draft a quarterback who's so good that even.
How about 2 a year until you have one?
Sure, just keep drafting them until somebody's good. That'd be nice.
The Jets, quote, certainly have interest in free agent wide receiver Tim Patrick.
Okay. All right. I mean, Tim Patrick played some meaningful snaps for Detroit last season.
I like him.
I mean, he's not a game changer, but again, this Jets team's not probably going to be very good. So getting minutes out of a relatively affordable receiver is fine.
SNY reports that the Jets will allow cornerback DJ Reed to become a free agent and not re-sign him.
Tough one, but how could we pay both Sauce and Reed? You can't. And so I guess they've made their decision to stick with Sauce. Okay. I respect that. Even though I think Reed is a fantastic player. Wherever he goes, someone's going to have one heck of a cornerback on their hands when he gets signed.
I'm jealous.
But why?
Because he's like, Pat can just open up a local news blotter, and get like 5 fucking stories about your team.
Because my team is the marquee team in the conference, and yours isn't.
It does not exist for my team. There's no one that covers it. Like, there's competing outlets doing this stuff. I'd have to pay for an athletic subscription.
You could afford that.
No, I do. I know I can, and it's good Chargers coverage. But I miss like the local. And like Tim could turn on a New York radio station. They have a Rappaport or a Schefter on for 15 minutes, and it's like 11 minutes of the team and then 4 minutes of the league. I don't have that anywhere. As a little boy, I used to get it streaming xx1090.com, but that was in San Diego. I just whatever, sorry. You just like a consortium of news outlets giving Tim Jets blurbs. Made me jealous for a minute.
The Jets won't give Breece Hall an early contract extension.
I agree with that too. As good as a running back as he's been, he is a running back. I don't see any reason to give him an early extension. He's only going into year 4, right? Once year 4 is over, if he performs well above market value this year, then okay, then we can have a conversation about it. But not a year early. Why would we do that?
I would agree with you. And even the guys that they brought in, it was probably the fact that Breece Hall was coming off a massive knee injury. But the other dudes, the backup and the backup to the backup, weren't bad.
No, they weren't. Running back, the Jets have some problems, but running back is a position of relative wealth for them.
Do you think that Barkley and just the good signings from this year will get the running backs paid moving forward because Henry was so good, Barkley was so good, Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. All 4 of those running backs ended up on playoff teams. They were all good for their teams. They all stayed healthy for their teams. I think that it's a bit like fool's gold on that front, that you got these guys that weren't quite washed up yet due to their age. They still had a little bit left in the tank, and all 4 of them went to great spots where they could be utilized really well, that now teams will think, oh, running backs, they're worth a ton now. Look how good these teams
I
are.
don't think teams are that dumb.
Really?
I think teams are like, look, if
If
somebody
there was a
is
high-end-
a high-end running back who isn't quite out of his prime is available, I think that teams will be that much more encouraged to sign him. But that means he probably isn't washed up yet.
Yeah, if you're a high-end team in a winner now with I think you'll be so much more hyper aggressive maybe to get that running back, right? That these guys got. We saw I know I'm dating myself, but even the Patriots
When they got
do with,
Corey Dillon.
Corey Dillon,
Yeah.
what have you.
And that
Where I
worked
do
out.
think we'll see the impact though, Pat, is at the draft. Because this Ashton I'm embarrassing myself by not pronouncing it properly, but Gentry, the Boise State kid, he's the best running back available in football this offseason, and people think he can do everything. Even the North Carolina guy that some people think the Chargers could be interested in, Omarion and something.
Omarion
So I think
from
the
those
draft-
dance movies?
Yes.
That guy's
I
like
think
45 years old. I would not
draft.
draft him.
I think the draft we will see. We might go back to more of a respect near in the first round, but J.K. Dobbins isn't going to get treated like fucking.
No, but let's
Is he
say
getting more love because Derrick Henry was awesome?
no, but let's say going into next year.
Najee Harris, who are the free agent backs?
Yeah, there's very few good. Like Nick Chubb is actually available in free agency.
Yeah, but Nick Chubb's been through a significant injury,
But
and then he missed
and then he came back. So now you think with another offseason, he's someone that I would roll the dice on for one of those 1 year $7 million contracts.
Sure, that's
What
a
if he's
much
fine?
different. That 1 year $7 million is a much different deal than what Baltimore paid Derrick Henry.
Is it?
Yes.
What years? But Henry got they got Henry pretty freaking.
They got
cheap.
Henry for 2 years for $16 million. Okay,
Yeah, they got him pretty cheap.
Like that's not expensive.
No, but still, that's 2 years, not one. I don't think there's such thing as a bad 1 year deal.
I mean, they probably if Derrick Henry had sucked, they probably could have cut him and saved all the money.
Pat, I could see the
Maybe.
Chargers being involved, like Jim Harbaugh being involved on a 1 year on something like short term for Nick Chubb. Absolutely.
I think it makes sense. Like if you're gonna gamble in the free agent market, there's no running backs of that caliber coming out. But all I'm saying is that just the shorter contracts that Henry and Barkley and all these guys got. Like when's McCaffrey gonna be off the 49ers? Like if he gets cut after this year, like someone will give him the one year, a good team like the Chiefs will be like, hey, 1 year, $10 million, come be our running back, see if you still got it. Like that would make sense to me.
Maybe.
Listen, Barkley and Henry certainly did a great service for the higher, like the position and the next stalwarts that hit the market. It will probably be more robust for them because of Barkley and Henry. So that's undeniable. But to Tim's initial point, teams aren't stupid. Like they're not stupid. They know the tiers for which the players exist in.
There's a running back from Arizona State, and his name is Cameron Scattybo. It's a great name.
Arizona State.
Is that what did I say?
I think you might have said Florida. Maybe you said Arizona. The Devils. Anyways, Pat, have you seen this kid?
No, but when I see his
I
name,
watched him in the college football playoff. I'm no
I'm gonna
college
say
expert.
I remember that name, and
Holy
that's why
shit.
because he played well in that game against was it Tennessee?
Well, I just look at his name,
Texas?
and do you know what the first thing that pops into my mind is, Tim? Who's another running back who used to play for the Packers?
Who?
Sam Gatto. Remember that guy?
I do. He used to play for the Texans too, didn't he?
I don't remember. I just remember Sam.
But I do remember Sam Gatto.
I remember picking up Sam Gatto in fantasy at one point.
I will say
remember
this:
him.
this Scattybo character,
It's a great.
he
name.
would be on a short list of players that I usually have by the time the draft comes around. Like I don't need the Chargers to draft him, but I just pray he doesn't end up in the division because I love this kid. As like I'm just a generic. I watched a few games of ball. I'm not like a scout, but this kid pops off the TV.
So you'd be very upset if Tom is smitten by him and encourages the GM to draft him.
I mean, if they're drafting a running back who might go, is this guy going to go in the first round, second round, around there, Geoff? I think you'd want the Raiders wasting.
Scattybo is like maybe the third or fourth ranked RB.
I would guess that
Maybe.
if the Raiders spent a second round pick on a running back, you'd be like, good work, go do that.
People have even linked the Raiders. Maybe it's just old school Raiders to that. Oh, they're too high. They can't draft that first round.
They can draft
RB.
anybody in the first round.
No, it's not. It's not like Al Davis light now. It's fucking Brady's squad.
Higgins got franchised today.
It's like the second year in a row.
It is. So now they're paying him like super, like he must be a top 3 paid receiver in the league, or maybe even the highest paid receiver in the league, because you get top 5 average the first year you get
No
franchised.
wonder they don't have a family room.
That's probably, yeah, they're paying T. Higgins too much money, but now they're playing hardball with Jamar Chase again.
That's what that franchise does. They play hardball with everybody other than Joe Burrow.
Jamar Chase is even tweeting about it or putting it on Instagram.
I know. It would be a very disappointing franchise to play for in that way.
Pat, just as like a football, pretending at least this is a team that has to live by the salary cap. Does it make sense for them to pay Higgins and the defensive end?
I would take. Listen, we saw what their offense looked like without Chase. When it was just Burrow and Jamar Chase, they put up numbers and they won very few games. And even then, they still had some stumbling blocks. When they had all 3 of them, that offense was really good. They had Trey Hendrickson last year, and their defense was the worst in the league.
Like, it just doesn't seem like good football roster building math to. Like, I just don't know how they're going to build the team.
I mean, it's a lot like what Miami did, which the difference is they have Joe Burrow and not Tua.
And the difference is Miami like traded for those things. So they had to give up assets to acquire those things, as opposed to the Bengals, at least, like have drafted them themselves.
That leaves the best receiver on the market, Tim, is Chris Godwin, I think, who's coming off a major knee injury.
Yes.
So this goes to the trade. Like the Washingtons saw this.
But just because that's the best person in free agency and you have money doesn't mean you should buy him if he's not very good.
Wait, what's a 5th round pick, though? Like, that seems like no different than taking my 1-year, $7 million plunge on Nick Chubb, giving up a 5th round pick
Turpin.
I don't want
Turpin. Tim, Turpin costs a second.
These 5th round picks, it seems like that's still a pick no GM likes to part with.
Sure, but you get a guy who's a potential game changer. Even if there's an 80% chance that he's washed, you get that opportunity, and it's not costing you anything besides a 5th round pick, which you were probably going to spend.
And it excites the fan base. Like, there's a lot of like underlying things, but yeah, I mean, the market is the market, and no one was offering a 4th, so he's worth what he's worth.
There's some really bad. Oh, your former guy, Tim. Elijah Moore, he's a free agent. Sign him.
I did like Elijah Moore.
He wasn't bad with Cleveland. They said no one who could throw him the ball. Who do you think plays quarterback for Cleveland next year?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe a backup who's on the roster now. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback at 2. So
DTR is the only one on the roster.
Cam Ward for sure.
I don't think they're going to take a quarterback.
Why?
I just am getting that sense from just reading people who are doing mocks and stuff that it doesn't seem like where they're leaning. I think they'll probably take best player on the board.
Do you think that they actually sign anyone of significance to play quarterback for them, or do they fall into the Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson sweepstakes?
Bring back Jameis.
I mean, I would prefer
That's
they
scary.
bring back
Kirk
Jameis.
Cousins, because Stefanski, maybe that's a match.
But
How much money can you carry a quarterback?
Well, maybe the Atlanta eats some. I don't know.
Drew Lock, Mac Jones.
I'm just trying. Justin
Daniel
Fields
Jones would make sense, I guess. You get him
I
probably
don't-
cheap.
Seems so depressing out there. Holy shit.
Yeah, it is depressing. That's why those of us who don't have a team that's in the playoffs know that they're just going to lose a lot of games this year. It's better just to steel your heart to the fact that there's just no way to get that good unless you hit on an amazing quarterback in the first round. The Jets could be bad for 3-4 years at this point.
You're really
Who
down
are the
on
other top
really down
free
on the
agent
Jets.
receivers, Pat?
Maybe longer.
Okay. Chris Godwin. T Higgins is off the board. It's Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Steph Diggs, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen.
I don't mind Hollywood Brown of that group.
He couldn't do anything with Patrick Mahomes.
He was hurt. Didn't
Yeah,
have a
that's it,
camp.
right?
As a new player without a camp, like I'm just now being an apologist, but new system, no training camp. But yeah, you would have thought by the end there would have been something. That's a weak list.
Yeah, it's not good.
How are the Chargers going to remake their receiver room with that list?
They're not going to.
Bring back Keenan.
Listen, he wants it. I know that. He wants it.
I mean, you didn't mention Devontae Adams, who's almost certainly to be a free agent if they don't trade him.
But is he just going to go wherever Rodgers goes?
And there'll be some cuts. I don't know if he's a good player, but like Christian Kirk is probably like very likely to be cut.
Oh, Trent
We're going to see
Sherfield.
some cuts.
Trent Sherfield's a free agent. So is I don't know. The Bills got to bring this guy back. Mac Hollins. Without Mac Hollins, they're not going anywhere. They might not win a game next year.
It does make me happy that they traded for Diggs. And Diggs is so useless to them that they had to let him go.
Who? Houston?
Yeah, like he was not like people thought, I'm going to Houston. He was going to make a big difference to that Texans roster, and he got hurt and just didn't matter.
Yeah, he was on a 1-year deal. The Bills made a great trade, honestly.
Yeah, and then they used that cap to trade for equally washed Amari Cooper.
Oh, the only thing Cooper's good at is throwing the ball backwards to Josh Allen.
That worked.
Yeah, it did work.
Who's going to be the Jets starting quarterback? It can't be Tyrod, can it?
It will. If they don't draft a QB early, it'll be Tyrod. And even if they do, it'll probably be Tyrod.
How old is
What
Tyrod?
are like
It doesn't need to be good. At this point, you're just trying to get through games.
It is
Health
shocking.
and safety. That's all we believe in this year.
It is.
Has there been good content, Tim, like on the Jets feed?
Been trying to avoid it. I told you I was going to try to fast.
You haven't even watched like Aaron Glenn, like first week on the job, like day in the life of
one or two little things, but I just don't want to think about football. It's kind of painful.
Okay, yeah, you're on. Yeah, you said you would. You said you were
Been
gonna go on a
trying.
diet.
And then I got sort of sidetracked with the Cam Ward stuff. I'll admit.
You were pretty in on the Cam Ward stuff. I have a text
I
chat
still
to
am.
back that up.
And I still am. He would be the second Cam Ward to win a major championship after the Carolina Hurricanes star goaltender.
Good one. Is this? How realistic is this though?
I don't know. It seemed quite realistic, and then things sort of quieted up. But I actually am to the point now where I wonder if the QB slide in the draft.
No, it seems like he's going to go first overall.
Well, maybe the Titans really going to take him. I still kind of think they're going to take Carter. So
the Giants would trade for the Titans pick then.
Maybe. So that could happen.
Do you think?
But then,
do you think Rodgers signs anywhere before the draft?
I wouldn't think so.
Are you willing to give your hate speech towards Aaron Rodgers yet?
I have nothing bad to say. I've said everything I said. I meant, and I mean what I like. The team let him down.
What Rodgers will sign somewhere. Maybe he's the backup plan for the Raiders if they can't get Darnold. And then he is going to take an unsolicited drive-by at the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
Like an unsolicited. No one even asked him a question about this thing. He is going to take a drive-by, and Tim will then say, I've had enough. It's my turn. I don't know. You've been your decorum around this has surprised me, but I still don't think it's lasting.
There's been no reason for me to say anything other than I wish it had worked out better, and I think it's more our fault than his.
Well,
and
I
wish him luck.
They said he could come back if he stopped going on McAfee. He's like, nah, can't do that.
Well, I mean, that's what I was saying on the show back in like December, was that you had to lay a law down of various rules he'd have to follow next year. And if he didn't want to, then he'd have to go. When he didn't want to, so he's got to go. No, he will like go to some other team that will put up with it. We've done it now. It didn't work. It's time to move on. Plus, he wants to win, and he can't win in New York.
Well, what if he goes to the Giants? He's not
He
going to win
wants
there
to
either.
start. I don't think he cares about winning.
I think
know.
I think he's the Giants quarterback, which is hilarious.
I don't see it.
Do we hope
don't
he
think he
wins
wants
for the
to-
Giants, Pat, next year?
It would be hilarious if he got the Giants to the playoffs. Yes, and he was good.
I think it'd be
very
fine.
funny.
Again, I would not be cheering against him, just like I didn't cheer against Darnold. I don't
Oh
cheer
my
against Geno.
God.
And
wouldn't
then he'll
cheer
be
against
like, "Listen, this is what I can do for a New York franchise. The other one is just terrible." And just
Yes. Oh my God. I'm here making up drive-bys being on the Raiders. The drive-bys he would toss if he's on the Giants next year and they're like average or like half decent. Oh, Tim, you would not take kindly to it. And they would happen.
I don't take kindly to disrespect. As long as there's no need for it. I think we've treated him as well as
You lost
any
your
teams would have
shit when Sean Payton took a shot at Nate Hackett. He
For no
never even
reason.
called a play for you yet. You were
No
so
reason.
offended. You were so
just, like,
offended.
who was he to take shots at anybody?
I think he did a pretty good job last year.
He did actually do a decent job last year. I will give them that. I did give them that.
Now, do you have any other football stuff, Jeff?
I don't. I think we're gonna see just a lot more veterans getting cut in the next few days.
So, Tim, this
When
is
does free agency actually begin?
I don't know. It'll begin when I wake up one morning and there's like fake signings 3 days before
Oh,
free
the
agency.
fake signings, yeah.
Tim, I want you to. You have your phone on you, I assume, and you have TikTok open because I heard you going on it earlier.
Yeah.
Can you type in Bible B for me?
Bible B?
Yeah, like
B-E-E?
Yeah, like spelling bee, but Bible bee.
Okay. Why?
Just this is a real thing that happens. It's like a spelling bee, but for Bible verses.
I can see that.
It's a thing. I did not imagine this was going to be a thing. It like popped across my field. What the hell is this?
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Would you dominate this?
I don't know if I would dominate it. I think like any trivia contest, I would hold my own.
It's a very specific skill set. I have to believe.
It is. It is a specific skill set, but it sounds interesting enough.
Did not realize that this was going to be that existed. But I guess not really my world, so I don't know what goes on in that world.
No, I didn't know it existed either, but that's interesting. Recently, my TikTok has been filled with a lot of dinosaurs.
Like, and how they don't exist or never did exist.
Like
No,
birds?
it's like
the birds.
like for whatever reason, they're like describing various geological eras of not human existence, of Earth's existence, and like showing you with like CGI videos, like, oh, here's what this dinosaur used to be like in that era, and here he was an apex predator, and he'd go after these types of animals, but they had their protections, and so like various descriptions of various sort of pre-human, prehistoric eras. It's been kind of interesting.
What's the most you've learned about dinosaurs?
Well, I did learn that that the Triceratops had much thicker skin than I realized. That I kind of thought their horns were their biggest protection, but I guess they have really thick skin.
I would have imagined most dinosaurs' skin would have been super thick, like across the board.
Well,
Like
apparently
they-
some more than others.
Like, do they molt like a lizard does or a snake does?
I don't know. That I don't know. These are only like 3-minute videos, 4-minute videos.
Well, it seems like you're watching a lot of them. You're an dinosaur expert now. You're like
I'm not an expert, but
you're
like they
you're like
just
a
keep
you're a 7-year-old kid, big on dinosaurs.
when I was young, I actually was very interested in dinosaurs.
You know, if not for the science that definitively proves dinosaurs existed, it would be impossible to believe they existed.
I know what you're saying. Like if
Like,
you
it is-
didn't,
they
if
are-
there
it's
wasn't evidence of a
unfathomable to
Tyrannosaurus
think.
Rex, yeah, you can't imagine a 25-meter tall lizard walking around.
Yeah.
With a bite capacity of like a hydraulic bench press or something.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. I'm not.
I know what you're
debating-
saying.
I'm not debating them. Like, even if you wanted, like, the science you would have to be so anti-science to like stand on that hill.
Oh, one of the neat things I learned was that in many cases, some of the early little reptiles that developed feathers that learned to fly actually developed the feathers for warmth rather than flying, and the flying sort of came later. That was interesting.
Well, only because you brought it up, but I have seen like recently there was a story out of China about birds, like and existing like over 2,000 proof that they existed actually like well before our first thoughts of them existing.
What?
Yeah, I don't doubt that birds predate humans.
I know they predate humans, but there's been more evidence that predates their initial apparently arrival.
What about
I
that?
could see that.
What about that online community who still doesn't believe that birds are real?
I'm kind of scared of birds.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what was that again.
I'm kind of afraid of birds.
Why are you afraid of birds?
I don't know. There's something unwholesome about them.
Like would see a cardinal and be feared?
No, but just a little uneasy. There's something about birds. I don't know.
Like birds of prey or like all
especially
birds?
birds of prey.
Like these sweet little innocent chirping birds up
Those
in the
don't.
tree?
No, not. I suppose not. Although I'm not like one of these people who like. I never understood the people who like to go bird watching, like with their little books and like.
Tim, there's
Okay,
a
well,
woman who walks around my neighborhood.
hold on. I'm with you. I don't understand it either, but that sounds like it's in your wheelhouse.
the sort of obsessiveness and the uses, yes, but no. I'm not afraid of all birds, but like even hummingbirds, like there's something strange about hummingbirds and like how they beat their wings to stay idle, and like I don't know. And then like you see those like apparently ravens and crows are incredibly intelligent, and like they have long memories. And like I remember that scene from The Sopranos where they were finally making what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Michael Imperioli's character. What's his name? Come on,
Christopher.
Yes.
I don't know why that took me so long. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're making Christopher, that raven is staring at them during the ceremony. Like that just gave me the creeps. And there's little stuff like that. There's
a woman who walks around my neighborhood with this like noise device to like call out the birds.
Like to kill them?
That lady
in Home
Alone 2.
Yeah.
Can you
Pigeon
imagine?
Lady.
Oh, she won an Academy Award at one point in her career.
It was not for Home Alone 2.
No, it wasn't. Although I will stand by the
You
fact
thought
that
she was attractive.
Home Alone 2 is a better movie than Home Alone 1.
Were you having Yeah, because Trump's in it, your guy. But were you
No, it's a better story. It's a better story.
Were you having Home Alone 2 Pigeon Lady beats? Is this what you're telling us?
Yeah, that's what Tim told me. That's who he wanted to name when you guys did the movie Babes. He wanted to name the Pigeon Lady in Home Alone 2.
That Pigeon Lady scared me because the birds scared me. Or the Hitchcock movie, The Birds, is terrifying.
It's a lot less. It's a lot less terrifying if you watch it now because, like, the special they'll look fake.
Maybe, but anyway, I'm not afraid of all birds, but birds generally make me kind of uneasy.
Okay,
you know what I mean.
What about like flamingos?
I mean, would you want to stand next to a flamingo? I wouldn't. I'd be terrified.
Oh, I did that in Aruba.
No,
yeah, what do you think's
no,
gonna happen?
No. I don't know. They could bite me or something. I don't know what a flamingo would do. I don't know what a stork would do. I don't know what these are wild animals. I don't know what they do. They'd probably hurt me.
She won an Oscar.
No.
She won an Oscar for My Left Foot.
Oh, that's the
Daniel
Day-Lewis movie.
Yeah, she was Daniel Day-Lewis's mom.
Oh yeah,
that
makes sense.
Did you watch? I watched the first part of the Oscars, Tim, before I watched White
I thought
Lotus.
Conan was funny. I thought Conan was really funny.
Yeah, it moved pretty fast. But
sort of. It went on for like 3.5 hours.
I know. I stopped watching, so I don't know how long it went for. I just Googled what won. After Enora won 3 awards for that one guy, I was like, wow, it's probably going to win Best Picture.
Yeah, and I did not see Enora, so I don't have any opinions on it.
The only movie I saw of that bunch was Wicked because my kids watched it at home.
No, I saw Conclave, and I liked Conclave.
I hear Conclave is quite good.
It was
one.
good.
I keep planning to watch the one with the best supporting actor in with my wife.
Oh, the Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin one?
Yeah,
I feel like
that one.
from what I saw, Kieran Culkin won the night.
I don't know about that.
He had by far the best speech. It was fun.
His speech was good, like funny.
Yeah. Whereas
I
went back.
I liked Conan.
I tried to make it through Adrian Brody's speech, and I made it through like 30 seconds. I was like, good Lord, man. What are you going on about?
I didn't like the whole here, take my gum thing either. And like that, I don't know.
Is there an actor, like, is Adrian Brody just male Hillary Swank? Just going to have 2 Oscars and be like, yeah, like no one knows who he is?
So it's like Eli Manning. He's like Joe Flacco.
Eli Manning at least was a Manning.
Yeah, I guess. So more like Joe Flacco.
Like
Yeah.
this was like Brody's first one was like 15 years ago. It was a
It was
big gap
It was
between
more,
movies.
More than
What
that.
movie was that again?
It was for The Pianist,
Pianist.
which was like 2003.
That was like Jeffrey Rush, I think.
No, Jeffrey Rush was for Shine in 1995.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Pianist was either 2003 or 2004. So it's been over 20 years since he won. And he's basically done nothing in between except for being Wes Anderson movies and the 7th male lead in one episode of Succession.
I thought, by and large, it was a return to traditional Oscars night in a lot of ways.
What does that mean?
Like it seemed fun. It seemed relatively lighthearted for the most part. It seemed very like blitzy and Los Angeles centric and all the stuff you sort of imagine. Like there's nothing dour about it. You didn't feel like you were being taught any lessons from the Academy Awards. Like it just seemed fun. That at least by and large, that's what I thought about the ceremonies. It wasn't perfect, but I think Conan O'Brien was a great choice of a host because he's really smart and he's goofy and whatever jokes he's sort of telling, almost anybody in the room can laugh at something he's saying. He's got a knack for that.
Did you like the Bond tribute?
I did like the Bond tribute. As someone or one or two people noted on X last night, it's like it wasn't clear why they were doing a Bond tribute.
Because movies.
Okay. But like, yes, I did. But again, that goes back to my point that like it's been now 5 years since we've had a Bond movie and nothing in production. We're going to go like 8 years without one. That's terrifying.
Well, they did just sell the rights, like full rights to Amazon. You're going to have so much Bond in your life, you're going to be fucking sick of it.
Do you know any spin-offs you're about to get?
Yeah, it's going to be like the Star Wars universe now.
Yeah.
I would watch a spin-off movie about Q.
Sure, you would.
You're going to have 6 of them.
Yeah, you're going to have an entire like dedicated series towards it that no one will watch.
Okay. You know what? I would rather deal with that problem than not enough. Because it's going to be way too long between movies. Give me one. Let me see.
They still haven't even named a Bond yet, have they?
No, nothing.
No.
Jeff, are you watching?
Don't worry, you'll get like a Money Penny 3 seasons first before the Bond movie.
Money Penny,
yeah, like
Money Penny porn.
Like a prequel, or like it'll be like young James Bond, like young Sheldon. We'll get like 8 seasons of that.
It'll be a sitcom.
Well, I have to say that George and Mandy's first marriage, which is the spin-off of the spin-off, has actually been a very enjoyable show.
I meant to ask you, what is like anything going on network these days? What
I've been enjoying that a lot, and I've been enjoying Matlock, and I've been enjoying Law and Order. Those are the 3 broadcast TV shows I'm watching right now.
But you're not watching White Lotus.
No, I have not watched I watched the first season of White Lotus and like 1 or 2 episodes of season 2. Apparently, I'm not missing much. So,
well, what are you getting from that? Who is telling you this?
Just I'm apparently that it hasn't been as good as the first season. No episodes have been as good as the first season. So,
I thought season 2 was way better than season 1.
Well, I mean, I didn't give it enough of a chance in my defense. I just don't care enough.
But you have to catch every episode of Matlock?
Matlock's fun, and like I don't know if Dr. Odyssey is coming back. Maybe I've missed it. I enjoyed Dr. Odyssey. That was a fun watch every time it was on, and I don't know if we're in an era where you don't get 28 episodes of a network show anymore. That like sometimes it'll be back for like 6 weeks and then it'll be gone for a couple of weeks and then it'll be gone for a month and it's hard to.
Oh,
I like the old days when like last week would have been February sweeps and you would have had all your good shows on last week and you would have watched what needed to be watched and like we've lost that.
can I bring up something that could be just really boring, but maybe Tim like as a thought in general? So ESPN is bailing out of baseball.
Yeah, I read that.
And yeah, they took an opt out in their contract for after next year to not pay 550 million to show Sunday night baseball, the wild card round, and the home run derby. And it's just so weird. Like, it's almost like baseball should be a loss leader if you consider yourself like a worldwide leader in sports. Like all summer, ESPN's gonna have no baseball.
Yeah, but they
Seems weird.
have the worst. They weirdly have the worst part of baseball. It's not like they're running games all the time. So if you're like a local affiliate, you get that volume of baseball to sell your ads. All you're getting is a deteriorated product that might spike a little bit more in the ratings, but the whole play for baseball revenue is just the amount of baseball that you get. So if ESPN's not getting that, it just seems like they pump a lot of money into the production of these Sunday night games, the studio shows. That's just not worth it for the people watching.
And I'd say this. Nothing. I don't care. Like even Dodgers, Yankees, sure. Like obviously in the World Series, but on a Sunday night, not like national baseball is just pointless.
Yeah, I agree.
No one gives a shit about like national baseball. Like regionally, we like people love their baseball. On a national level, people don't. I would just say, and maybe you could have said this about any sports, and I'm sure I said this about football, but baseball, like baseball needs to be on cable. Like you need to be able to change the channel easily when watching baseball. Having to like be on an app and jump out of an app and go into an app to like watch baseball when you just want to channel surf during like a pitcher change, it's gonna the worst.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to like to score games when I was watching them.
From home?
Yeah, at home. So like that
Like
kept you in the
World
game.
Series games or just regular games?
Yeah, like playoff games, but it kept you in the game.
Like that almost seems like you are punishing yourself to stay interested.
Well, it was a way to stay connected to the game. So, and it was just, I don't know. I would do that with random Expos games or random Blue Jays games as well. Again, if you're going to watch, I might as well watch. And it's just a way to stay in the game. And it's also a great souvenir if you're watching a game that was great. Like most of the time they're meaningless. But like, I'm pretty sure somewhere I have one of David Wells' like no hitters or something scored somewhere in my vast amount of papers maybe it's been thrown out.
That's pretty jokes. But Pat, just to quickly tell you, because baseball signed this like Roku deal for $12 million to show one game, I think on like Sunday mornings, and they had this Apple TV deal for 90 million. And you know, in trying to get new platforms, ESPN pretty much was was offended by those prices on those deals and wanted to renegotiate. And obviously baseball's like, oh, I've seen basketball get all this money, seeing all these sports go up. You can't pay me for this. Like, screw you. But I feel like they really both need each other. So I don't even know baseball without like Sunday Night Baseball. I feel like on ESPN's been on my whole life.
Yeah, but you know what? As soon as Joe Morgan and Miller left, it honestly lost a lot of its panache to me. That like, what is it? 10 years ago they left. Like I kind of like stopped.
Didn't like
watching
Dan
Sunday Night
Shulman
Baseball.
and Joe Shambi do it, and I thought they were great.
And I think they had Bobby Valentine on there at one point too. I think they had A-Rod in there for a bit as well, right? But I don't know. Once there was something about Morgan and his color. It's the same as like as annoying as he could be. McCarver was the same way. There were voices when it came to color baseball that to me were as much the draw as it was the game, because it felt like you were watching the game with somebody who you knew and that you trusted to give good analysis of what you were watching. And then once those people left, just like, I'll watch, but it's not the same emotional connection that I had.
I guess I'm just very curious, like where baseball goes next. And they're trying to do this thing because they've never owned their streaming rights, apparently. So they're finally, for the first time ever, going to try to like make sure all of their streaming rights are available at the same time, as opposed to teams being in their own situations. But I'm fascinated where, like, I don't know, baseball's in for a rude awakening. I don't really understand, although I do understand why other sports get the money they get, mainly NBA. But I don't know, every sport's getting all this money, and baseball's being told, like, no thank you, no interest.
And maybe it's because it is so regional at this point.
Well, as Pat said, it's either a volume play or you need to have the World Series. That's kind of it. There's only two reasons to have baseball on your network: to have 150 games or to have like the World Series.
You're right. You're right. I think, yeah, that's you nailed it right there. It's just like the catalog, the inventory, or the tentpole event. But to have neither, it's fucking pointless.
All right. I think that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Unless there's something else you guys want to bring to head. We talked Oscars, MLB, the Bible Bee, Dinosaurs, along with everything football. Is anything else stuck in your spokes this week? Grinding your
not
gears?
really.
That's good. We got the Players' Championship coming up. Jeff's going away.
What is?
The
Oh,
Players.
Live Hong Kong, Tim. Anything for Live Hong Kong? You gonna watch? You gonna support? Got a winner?
I'd be on at like 3 a.m. I don't know. I guess I'd pick Rom.
Good pick.
Oh, speaking of birds, I meant to bring this up earlier on. I saw one security vehicle on the beach, like a security ATV with like armed guards, driving an ATV on the beach. And I was like, oh man, I wonder what's going on. There's like a drug bust on the beach or something like that. No, it was an escort for a parrot.
It's an endangered, yeah.
And they were bringing
that's awesome, actually.
They were
That's
bringing
so-
the parrot around to tourists on the beach. The guy walked up because he did it to my wife. And he's just like, yeah, here's a parrot. You can let like the parrot stand on your... And Tim, you would have hated this. So the parrot sat on like Sam's shoulder.
Oh, my God.
It went on her head. And then he took it off. He's like, that'll be $20. And she's like, what? Like, what a scam. And we had one person with us who, like, because anytime anyone would walk by just as cold as possible, like, no, thank you. Just the moment they looked at us, like, no. Like, I don't want to buy your cheap sunglasses. I don't want to buy your fake cigars. And then I go to
your jewelry.
I go to the bathroom. I come back, and one of our friends is sitting there with like 3 of these guys. Where I was like, "Oh, that looks really cool." It's like, no, don't do this. We were marked for the next 2 fucking days. It was unbelievable.
Honestly, it's almost worth it, maybe like finding out who the leader of the gang is and paying that
him
guy
off?
to make sure you're just left alone. The same way you tip the bartender good at the beginning of a trip like that, so he remembers you and now you're in, you like pay off a guy to make sure that
Wait,
those
is this-
people leave
you're,
you
You're
alone.
not tipping the bartender at the all-inclusive.
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
you do. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're doing this again? You again?
Not
with the
every
tips?
drink.
No, you go up with like $10 at the beginning of the day, and you see how much you drink. Like $1 a drink is about what I was.
No,
doing.
no. I at the very end, on the very last day, if you want to leave a tip, that's fine.
No.
But like
Tim,
every
Tim,
day,
you're
no.
missing
I've
it.
already paid for all these drinks.
Tim, hear me out.
I've already
Yes.
paid.
There's still levels to this shit. And I'm generic. There's people that might even say I'm wrong or doing it wrong or I could level up. But you tip at the beginning, the bartender.
They
when
fill
it's
you up.
crowded,
Yeah.
it's busy at the pool, you want your drink, but he knows you're the goods. You're the goods. Like that's the game.
I already
Like, yeah, you
paid
already
for all
paid
this.
for it. You just wait. You just wait there like a simpleton.
Ugh.
Why
It
does that
never
bother you?
ends. It never ends. It just never ends.
I'm sorry. Like the big thing is they get to keep their tips. I don't think they're paid particularly well in some of these Caribbean countries.
You're right.
But you're like, fuck you. I'll keep my
I guess
dollar.
if you
him,
if you
and
wanted
the
to give it at
first
the
one
very
is-
start, fine. But I just think it would be more meaningful to give it at the end as a thank you
You
for all the
know-
service.
You realize
they
it's
provide.
you realize it's different people every day, right?
You
Like
have to do this every day?
they're not chained. Yeah, you tip like you don't have to tip at every drink, but if I go up and I get like 4 drinks, I'll like leave a 5. I'll go back, I'll get the next one, and you work off from there.
Yeah, and you have
Oh
to tip
my
every time,
God.
but you You want like something nice to start the day for a little facial recognition.
And are you tipping at each of the restaurants as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I give the money
It's
to the
okay.
server.
You're tipping.
All right, I guess. I mean, I understand tipping at the end when you're leaving as a thank you, like leaving money behind in your room.
How much-
for the people
Instead
in
of
your
doing
room the whole
that,
time.
just do it.
How
like,
much would you
more
leave? How much would you leave? Because I did the same thing. I left money in my room for the housekeepers that helped out every single time. How much money would
Yes.
you leave? Like, what's acceptable, do you
afraid-
think, Tim?
I don't know. I don't want to say it.
Say it. No, say it. You're going to leave $5. weren't you?
$20.
You were gonna you went up on that, didn't you?
I was gonna say $10.
You know how if you ask like a guy like Pat, like your friends, and you're like 20, like how many girls they've slept with or something, they like times it by 3. I think Tim does that for when we ask him how much he's gonna tip.
I was gonna leave $10.
You're such a hero.
Which means you were gonna leave 3.
No, I would have left. I would have left $10.
For 7
I
days
already-
of cleaning the
I
room, you would have left
already
$10.
paid all this money for the week.
Like how much?
It's supposed to be all inclusive. All inclusive.
Listen, you don't have to tip Tim. It's just you're going to a country where
No,
the
but
people
again, I
make
don't
a
want to
ton.
do what. But if everybody else is, I want to do what everybody else is doing. I don't want to be that guy who isn't tipping when everyone else is. I don't want to be that person. I want to fit in. I want to follow the rules.
You just
But
want to
again,
be like
I think there's nothing wrong with leaving a nice tip at the end as a thank you. But like, I don't know.
you don't want to stand out for being too cheap, but you want to just like tip, right? That's all. Like you want to find that line that doesn't disgust the service person. Like you want, right? But like that isn't like you're not going up near above and beyond or anywhere close to it either.
I
So you
just
gotta
want to find that
line.
nice happy medium.
No, you just don't want to tip. You want everyone else not to tip too. It didn't occur to you that you would tip people there.
It didn't occur. Well, I mean, I did say I would leave some money at the
How
end.
much?
Like,
how
there are
much?
some
How much would you tip your butler?
you mean?
Like when you go to the resort and you have your butler who arranges
Oh,
everything.
I've never had a butler at those ones.
So you
I don't
go-
know.
So you just go to the cheapest places possible.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. I've been to
But
like
Tim,
four,
Tim,
four
hear me out.
stars.
Sometimes you even tip like, and it's nice in the morning, and you get your cut. The guy sets up like the beach chairs for you. He does a great job. Brings you like, yeah, even throw a tip.
So, for example, on this front, a negotiation tactic that I tried to use was they told me that most resorts do this. They try to sell you some sort of like crappy timeshare, and they're like, well, if you come to this at this meeting, you'll get like $200 that you can use at the spa or use wherever, because that part is not a part of the all-inclusive, the spa stuff, Tim. Just so you know,
Right.
It's
Yeah, I
extra,
know that.
it's extra money. So
I've been to all inclusives on multiple occasions.
when was the last time you were
On
in an
3
all-inclusive?
occasions. 2008.
So it's been almost 20 years.
I guess if you want to look at it that way.
That's how I would take it. But so as an adult that you really haven't gone.
I mean, I was 21.
So you like didn't have like money to spend on your own.
No, sure, but like if I went to, sure, fine. No, I guess you'd need to leave $100 with every drink. That's apparently the rule.
Didn't
What are you
realize
doing?
anyone said that. You just want to see like the poor workers, man. Like they're working hard.
They are,
and
working
your
hard,
message for them is fuck you. You're like
No.
Yucko the clown.
I know. I want to know what the rules are, and I want to do what everybody else is doing.
Everyone has
And
told you what the
sometimes-
rules are.
Then that's what I want to do. I want to do what everybody else is doing.
So they make you sit through. Jeff, have you experienced this? That like they make you sit through like a meeting, or they like there's a talk, and you get like basically tricked into going. That you think that you're getting like a spa coupons or something like that. But then you get stuck in this room for 3 hours. Anyway, I heard this happen to people, and even people that were at the resort had told me. So I went up to the guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you can come to the meeting. It's like you can get your $200." So I just paid him $20. He just gave me the $200. It worked out much better that way. It took like 30 seconds.
I've heard those things. I'd never get. No. I'm not that big of a mark where I'm gonna get dragged into some fucking convention.
But that's the move, though. Just like if he's gonna give you $200, like it's nothing to him. He's giving it away anyway. He just needs to get you to go to this room. You just pay him. Pay him 10%
Yeah,
for
and
what it's
I'm
worth.
sure you sign up, so you get to go towards his quota of people he spoke to. So
Oh, yeah.
everyone wins.
Sign the list, hand the cash, and he even because you can't really get like bottles. Like you have to pay for bottles of good wine. If you want good champagne, good wine, that costs extra. You can have like the crappy stuff that they give away at an all-inclusive. Then he just comes up with like a good bottle of wine for us too. It was awesome. He was just pumped to get for $20.
All the wine should be all inclusive.
No, it's not. Like the crappy
All
wine.
the
But it's
champagne
also
should be
like some of the
all-inclusive.
times the booze at the shitty places, like you almost don't like the all-inclusive booze is like being made in the bathtub upstairs.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
Like,
You
it's a-
don't know that. You're
it's like-
just saying that.
It's like even when you tip people at the start, Tim, they tend to give you the not watered down liquor, and they actually give you the decent liquor.
No, usually there's like sometimes there's even different tier of booze packages you can get.
And there was like you could go to
Yeah.
the one booze package had like because a few people stuff like I don't really care if I'm drinking Grey Goose or generic vodka. It doesn't bother
And if you're
me.
mixing it anyway, like
Yeah.
you care even less.
But there
right?
was there was people that would come over from like the preferred section into ours because it just wasn't busy whatsoever. It was like to pay double the price for the better booze seemed like a real ripoff. So we didn't do that. But then the people would come over and like yell at the bartender like, "You don't have Grey Goose here." It's like we don't have Grey Goose here. That's over there for where you paid for it. And it's like mad at these people. Like I can't have vodka because it's not Grey Goose. Like my guy, you're in Dominican Republic at an all-inclusive resort. What do you want here? Like
honestly.
fighting with the guy at the staff.
No, but I mean, my goal is to try to beat the house when I'm there.
You couldn't beat the house. That'd be impossible for you. You'd have like 3 drinks. You get that like gimp leg you get going, giggle yourself to sleep.
There are ways to do it, I'm sure. The way the food that you're ordering, stuff like that.
Well, no. If you want like the very high end food, you got to pay for that.
Hey, again, well, then this is not all inclusive as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they're not going to
All
give
inclusive should mean everything.
you. Well, do you think they're just going to give you a $500 bottle of wine, Tim?
Yes,
Why would you think that?
because they should.
That seems like a very poor reason for them to do it. Like
They don't have it on hand.
Well, they have wine.
No, they have
They
it.
have
It's
wine.
an upsell. It's
Yeah.
an upcharge.
Yeah, like you can get the crappy wine. That's all free.
I
Just
would like the idea of having an all inclusive. Maybe this is a. Wouldn't it be great if you could build a resort that was all inclusive for people, and it was the finest of everything, but it was all inclusive?
how
That
much,
exists.
yeah, that does
That
exist.
does exist.
How much do you want to pay?
I don't know, $3,000 a week
Like I just paid more than that.
seems fair.
That seems fair for the best of everything.
The
$3,000
best
a
of
week.
everything.
Yes.
Are you mental?
No, that seems fair. $3,000.
That seems fair.
No. Yeah, it's a lot of money. But you would make
I
a
spent
lot of money.
I
because
spent
most
I
people
spent
would not-
more almost per day to go to President's Cup with all you goobers than that.
That is a lot of money.
The best of everything.
Is it? No, the best of
for
everything doesn't cost
300.
$3,000 a week, Tim. Because you have to, that's not just your food, that's your room, that's everything.
Well, that's all I'd be willing to pay.
So you'd go to like again, so that you go to shitty places.
No,
And you
it's-
get the bathtub booze.
Yeah.
Stop that. That is not true.
That. What do you think is
That is
I'm
Jack,
so
what-
offended by that.
What do you
That
think
is such
in
an infamy to claim that these big hotels are just pawning off liquor that somebody has been brewing. in a
Have you
bathtub.
seen the label and the jug they're pouring that vodka out of? Like that brand is from the bathtub upstairs. I don't think I'm joking.
or them just filling up name brand bottles with like crap liquor? Come on.
No.
Or it's
I
like the
want
lowest
finest
level-
of everything. You want
It's like
you want all you can eat caviar. You've got it. I want champagne. I want all of it.
But you can have champagne and you can have wine, like I said. You just have the lowest tier of it.
It should all be included.
Well, then you're going to end up paying like I could have went and stayed. There was another one down the street, and I believe it was $29,000 a week, and it wasn't the best
Oh
one.
my
But I
gosh!
could have went to that one, and that was like
I couldn't
you get.
imagine.
Well, you're imagining what you would kind of get at those places, but you want it for 1/10 the price,
Yes.
and you think that's reasonable.
Yes.
Why?
That's just what I think it should cost.
So if like I'm buying a $500 bottle of wine, that's probably actually what, like $200 to buy, something like that. So imagine
If that.
Maybe. You don't know. I mean, that's $500 American. So let's say $200.
Well, it's all made in grandma's bathtub anyway, according to Jeff.
Well,
They
no.
just slap a
Well,
label.
that is not what Jeff is saying. So you're not listening to Jeff again.
Some people
all
like that shit.
bathtub booze.
Our boy Erdman gobbles that stuff up from the tub. Drinks it by the liter.
But if
It's like it's cheese sauce.
like it's exactly like it's cheese sauce. But if you're gonna get like the premium stuff, you're gonna pay for it.
Just felt like $3,000 a week would be sufficient unto the day.
It really isn't, man.
The best of everything. That might get you like a meal.
Yeah.
Like for the standards for which you're speaking.
All right, fine.
I mean, I went to a restaurant
And it should have Wagyu.
with you here where I ordered Wagyu, and we got a bottle of wine. I got the Wagyu, and what do you think my bill came to for that one night?
I don't even want to think. I don't want to think.
why
about
don't
it.
you
You'll
guess?
bother him if you tell him. It'll bother
No,
him.
no.
to
Well,
know.
what do you think my
Too
bill
much.
came to? Well, what's too much? You said you paid $3,000 for a week with this stuff that's on the menu. What do you think I paid for that single dinner?
Like $600.
It was like $1,100.
Oh, God! The conspicuous consumption.
Well, this is what stuff costs. And then you're telling everyone to go eat Wagyu steak.
Oh, it was delicious. Don't get me wrong. It was delicious.
I mean, it was more the wine than the steak than anything else. We got like
I'm sure that it was.
we
The
got,
Wagyu
like-
was quite delicious.
the Wagyu was excellent, but we got like a $700 bottle of wine because we had
Oh,
we had to be fancy that night.
yeah, evidently.
But you didn't have any of the wine. Myself and Ryan thought it was delicious,
No, I didn't have any wine. I had a DC.
and you ate my steak.
I had a little piece of. I had my own steak. I had a little piece of your steak, and it was good.
Well, my steak wasn't very big, Tim.
I know it wasn't, but like, don't make it sound like I ate your whole steak. I had one little
No.
piece of your steak.
But I'm just telling you, if you want the best of everything, gonna cost you more than $3,000.
Okay, well,
Now think
maybe
about
4,000.
maybe 4,000. Well, let's call that 1,100 for that night. That was before tip, and that was one meal. You're having 3 meals a day, so now we're up to $3,300, and that's just for meals.
Your breakfast is not going to cost that much.
Well,
You're not having an $1,100 breakfast.
Why not? You said caviar. You said Wagyu. I can see it getting up there. Like I'm drinking mimosas at breakfast. I'm apparently, according to you, I'm getting the best of the best. So I'm getting the most
Oh,
expensive
but you
champagne.
don't
to fill it up.
mix Dom with orange juice. You buy a mixing champagne for that. You don't
Why?
drink a good champagne.
When was the last time you had good champagne with orange juice? If it was the best of everything, wouldn't I want that?
All right, fine.
And is Dom even really the best champagne?
I don't know if it's the best. It probably isn't the best. It's the best that I've had.
So yeah.
It's like the best, like mass.
It's like the keg. It's the best mass-produced restaurant, but it's still mass-produced.
It depends on the levels that you're going. I
think it's a little higher than the keg, but the keg's consistency from
Oh, the keg
location to
is great,
location
but people would say that it's still a chain because it is, but it's excellent.
like if people don't know what the keg is, it's like the Canadian lesser version of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Yeah, probably.
Is the way I would better than Outback, but not as good as Ruth's Chris. It's in
Yeah,
between
better
that.
than Outback, like way better than any of your Texas Roadhouse nonsense, but it's like a step below.
Jared asked Olive Garden. I would say it's a better franchise than Olive Garden. in
Way
terms of
better,
quality.
way higher quality than Olive Garden.
Yeah. And it is very consistent across the board. You know what you're getting when you go there, but you're not getting top end stuff.
No, you're just getting really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But again, that's not the that's what you're getting at the $3,000 a week place, Tim.
I like going to the keg.
I guess I like to go to the keg too, unless I'm getting free food on site. Then I don't want to go to the keg.
Yeah, then you really don't want it. Although that was a chance for you to try something different at the keg.
No, I didn't want that sandwich. We had free stuff in the tent.
So
Tim, last time we were there, me and my wife were just there on like out, so my mom was watching the kids. We went. I guess the waitress liked us, and we ordered like a dessert, and in the end, she gave it to us for free.
That's great.
So we gave her like a very nice tip.
as one should. I think that is totally justifiable.
Like the price of the dessert, we pretty much just added to the tip.
I
Yeah.
think that's a very
You would do
very
that?
kind-
No,
I would.
no, he wouldn't. He said he thinks that's very nice for you to do, Geoff. He would not do that. Free stuff.
I would-
Excellent.
I would increase my tip because of it. I will say that.
All right. Well, that was fun. It was good catching up with you guys. We'll do players next week. Tim, will you join us for like 15 minutes for that to give your picks?
Oh, you mean the golf tournament? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then we're doing Cut Sweats Live. Geoff won't be here. I don't know if you want to do that, Tim, or not.
It's what that on the Friday. I'm presuming I don't have it. It's the 14th, isn't it? I think I have something on the go that day. We'll see. I don't want to commit one way or the other yet.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Geoff can't do it either, so it'll probably be myself, Kenny, Byron, whoever I can cobble together, and then we will watch the golf and we will stream that along. Plus, we have everything coming. We're almost at 50,000 subs. We're going to do a big giveaway for that, so please smash a like and sub to the channel while you're here as well. I want to thank Geoff and Jared and Tim and Cust.
Tim and August.
That's not my name.
How much do you think I tip Jared after every show?
I don't know. I don't know.
Jared, how are you enjoying your Helix mattress?
Very comfy mattress. I joked to you earlier, I might break the record for longest sleep. At least a new personal best.
It's that much better than the other bed?
Helix mattresses, so good.
So good.
So good.
Just to give them an extra special shout out, if you go to helixsleep.com/PatMayo, you get 20% off site wide. Would it freak you out, Tim, getting a mattress in a box at your door?
It freaked me out, but I bought a nice mattress like a year ago. So I'm sure those are really great mattresses, but I'm quite happy with the mattress I purchased.
I got my mattress, my Helix Sleep mattress, and it was a lot better than my old mattress.
I have a very, very firm mattress, which I like.
Oh, I don't like that. I need to be. The problem is we got our other one too soft, and you know how Homer's chair had the ass grooves in it.
Yes.
So my mattress got like the person groove in it. And
Yeah, you don't want that.
And I found it incredibly difficult to sleep in.
No,
Like,
no. You need. That's why I like a nice, firm mattress.
So I've heard about that with some of the higher end mattresses, like you're speaking of. Sometimes, and then they promise there's like a guarantee they'll fix indentations, but then they'll bring out the ruler and tell you your indentation is like the smallest amount too
Allowable.
big for their service. But I agree. I like mattresses.
Yeah.
I'm not against. I like a mattress in a box. I've had
Yeah, I'm
better
not against it.
sleeps on mattresses and boxes like Helix than I've had in like high priced beds. So I'm not against it.
I mean, this is, I mean, obviously they're sponsoring the show, and Jared got a mattress out of it, and I got a mattress out of it. I love the mattress. It's awesome. Maybe my old one just sucked a lot, but this is just fantastic stuff. So, yeah, 20% off site wide. Might as well do it. Support the show. If you have a shit mattress, this will help you out. And they're not super expensive, which is helpful. Because you can spend some big cash on a mattress. You can spend like easy $5,000 on a mattress, Tim.
More.
I know. I was price shopping it like a year ago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And even like the lower shit ones that you would buy from IKEA or somewhere like that, like they're okay. I remember I slept on one when I first moved to Toronto. I just went to IKEA. They weren't even that inexpensive.
No, it's true.
You know what? I actually like if you're not going to pay up, you're 100% better off getting a Helix than like going into like a lower midder tier, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, 100%. Like I used to work at Bedroom Depot. I don't think they exist anymore. We would have like the Sealy mattresses and those ones. They weren't good, but they were super expensive. Like versus like they were the mid quality ones, so they could upcharge you because people feel like, oh, they're expensive. They still must be good, but they're not the premium top of the tier. They were dog shit. I hope they're not sponsoring the show soon. Bad Sealy mattresses. Jake Sealy mattresses. Jake Sealy's in Iceland right now, Tim. Would you go to Iceland?
Yes.
You should. It's a very close flight from here.
Yeah, I've thought about it before.
Although he ran into, I don't think I would go to Iceland in February or March. Would be my one.
No,
travel
I agree.
tip.
It's more of an August place.
Yeah, like I always tell people if they ever come here, June, July, August, early September, very nice time to be here. You don't want to be here when it's like hailing and freezing rain out in February. In Iceland, like the days where it had, remember that movie Insomnia, Christopher Nolan movie with Al Pacino, and there was no darkness because they were so close to the Arctic. The days when I was in Reykjavik were 22 hours long. It was
Of course they were, because you went in the summer.
yeah, it was awesome. Loved it. And if you had an all-inclusive there, it'd be very expensive. That I can tell
I
you.
bet it would, since they like have to import 97% of their food or something.
I remember like we were just stumbling around. We basically walked across Reykjavik the very first day that we got there because our hotel room wasn't ready yet. So we dropped off our stuff, basically walked across the entire city. It was not very big. We're like, oh, we'll stop in somewhere for a quick brunch, like a cheap brunch. We'll get something like just for breakfast. We haven't eaten in a while because we did the overnight to get there. And I think our brunch was like, we like calculated it from the kroners over to our money, it was $50 a piece or something. And that was the cheap one. They'll
Believe it.
Where are you going to go? They can charge you whatever they
No,
want.
exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Thank you all for watching. You guys wanted the three of us doing shows about whatever during the off season. We got you some football content along with the other stuff along the way. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!